Hello. This has nothing to do with Twin Peaks, but welcome.
Well, it was Twin Peaks Day, like
it was
a couple days ago.
So. Yeah. All right, got me. My name's Tom.
I'm Kimber,
and you're watching Odd Shape Panel on Odd Shape Channel. This is a call-in discussion show where we talk to everybody who'd like to call in. Some people have dibs early because they're patrons. That's just one of the bonuses of supporting us. Not that any of you support us any less. We just got to show it somehow, I guess. But real quick, hello to everyone in the chat, including Joe, Ashley, Cal, Tom Zambino, Eric Monroe, Janine, Jonathan Peck, Delisha. I'm trying to remember everybody. Randall.
I think that's everybody right
no,
now.
They can't be everybody. Did I say Tom Zambino?
Yeah.
Got him.
There's Eric.
Eric, he won't be calling in, but I wanted to say hello, everyone. Eric Osemacher of Bunk Bunker, at Bunk Bunker. Check out his content. Anyway, we're
it's a little noisy tonight. We're gonna start out with that. The bar downstairs that we live above is not usually open on Mondays.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it is popping tonight. So forgive us for any background noise that you may or may not hear.
It's also pretty hot in the apartment, so we kind of have to have the window open. But if it's bad, we'll shut the window and die. It's fine.
So this week, Delisha asked us how we felt about possibly doing an episode celebrating Black actors for Black History Month.
Let's not lie. She wanted to be very specific with her actor choice.
No, she did not. Let's not lie. She wrote me, and the message did say it's not Denzel. She didn't go there. Perhaps it's an excuse to talk about Denzel. But she did ask if we could do a highlight on Black actors, and it also has some director stuff in here too, which I think is awesome. And we thought that was great. So definitely we're down for that. And if you guys ever have any suggestions like that, let us know. We're always looking to talk about whatever you guys are interested in, or things that we might have missed in earlier episodes, or even maybe some things that you want to talk about again from very early episodes when a lot of you guys weren't involved with the show yet. So.
Yeah, we've had a lot of cool submissions. Like one of our early episodes was the tabletop episode, which I think was our first episode on YouTube. Because that
possibly,
it's our first listed. There was one before that, but it was very buggy because it was our first one. So there's a hidden pilot out there somewhere. But yeah, we also tackled a bunch of topics on a platform before YouTube, which even less people got to see. So things like scores, and I think people's like first run-ins with comic books and stuff like that. So we would always love to go back and revisit those things.
Yeah, raise your hand in the chat if you've been here since Blab. But I guess we should just get right into this tonight. We are going to have Delisha in first. She is recovering from wisdom tooth surgery, so she wants to get in early. Oh, closer.
Hey, Bill. A downed pilot. Yes, Eric. Speaking of which, I'm sure you folks have noticed there has been a little hiatus on the podcast. Just a little mental holiday, plus Valentine's Day, Black Panther. I was just overwhelmed.
All that jazz.
So that stuff should be recontinuing this week. And as far as down pilot, probably next week. Because we're already one ahead. Because we did only one podcast that week before I realized how busy it was.
Yeah, and we should have the TV three-way coming out when we had Ashley as our guest. So that should be this week. And we're trying to get a link for Dell.
All right, Dell, this is for you. Dude, we're getting Adele.
Ridiculous.
Not Adele. We don't want any rain.
The one and only Dell.
I set Brian to the rain.
You leave Brian alone.
I was seeing if I could summon him. He's a good guy.
Oh, I love Brian.
Also, what else we have got going on? We recently were on Research and Destroy with Bill, and we talked Batman the Animated Series. If you haven't seen that yet, you can check out Bill's channel on YouTube at Research and Destroy, or check out our guest spot playlist on the channel, and it should be the most recent thing. And anything that we've done, collabed with a bunch of our tough stuff, our collabs with Geek to My Nerd, which I guess is still, well, that was BFF. So many trademarks going on here. You're wearing a BFF shirt. That's
Gotta.
I know, rep. But invalid link. Okay, let's try.
We're doing this again apparently this week. For the list, we're gonna have Dell, and after Dell, we're gonna have Janine. She's going to see Black Panther again, so she asked if we could squeeze her in. She's gonna be followed by Tom Zambino, Joe and Ashley, Randall, and then Bill, and then we will start the list of people who aren't patrons. The first of which were Billy, Eric, and Rokel, and Jonathan. If Troy comes in, I don't know if you guys were here last time, but Troy waited the entire show and then had technical difficulties and he couldn't get in. So if he does pop up, we're going to try to squeeze him in ASAP for being really patient and sticking around for the whole show last time.
We're not trying to punish anyone who's not a patron. Like if you're going to hang out the entire time and it doesn't work out, we're definitely going to get you in next time. Because we want everybody to participate. But real quick, so about 3 or 4, okay, before Logan Paul ruined it for everyone, we were almost going to be monetized again because they keep
changing the rules on us.
Keep setting the bar. Anyway, our goal, our milestone for a long time was getting to 10,000 views. And the other day, I'm trying to have a heartfelt
I'm sure they don't hear that
moment.
as loud as they hear you, so go ahead.
We hit like 1050 while we were doing our Pokemon Revolution online. So thank you to everybody. We're not getting paid, but it's still a big accomplishment, and we'll get there.
We are getting paid a little bit thanks to the patrons, obviously, but YouTube,
full circle.
YouTube's not paying us anything right now.
Delisha, can you send your email and we'll try it that way? But we don't call up. Weird.
Thanks, YouTube.
See, that's what we get for talking smack about YouTube.
Do we maybe want to try Janine first and give Dell a minute to see if she can figure it out?
Maybe.
If you want to send your email in the chat, Dell, we can try to send you an invite that way and see if it works better.
Don't do it. Don't you dare. Not 10 minutes into the broadcast.
Right.
Unless that word is T-Pain. And then it has to be auto-tuned when you say it.
Yeah, Del, try putting your Gmail into the chat if you can. There you go.
Look at Cal. He's on top of it.
We got to try to get Delisha in first. It seems appropriate as this was her
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've gotten. I was talking about Joe recommending the the tabletop game one. We also did. I think did Janine recommend the Edgar Wright one? And we were like, okay, because
I don't remember if she did,
or maybe that was a
I know that Nolan recommended the Stephen King one.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But my memory is terrible.
We've gotten some cool suggestions. We used to do polls.
We'll test the polls. I feel like when we move, it's like the end of an era, though. Like New York era OSPeep panel.
Yeah. The content's definitely going to get different because maybe we'll actually go do things.
There she is! Yay!
Hey, guys.
It's like the end of an era, though. I feel like we might have to close this window. Let me close this window.
I'm going to turn her up on my
Can you hear me?
Hi, Delisha. How's it going?
Okay. I'm all right. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you great.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. I sometimes have issues when I put my headphones in.
Right.
There we go.
I like your shirt.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what was wrong with Google Hangouts. It was just being difficult.
Oh, it's not your fault. We blame Google, obviously. All right, so we have a bunch of people watching, a bunch of people who are waiting to call in. So we're going to try to get this quickly, and instead of going through all of our answers at the same time, we're going to go through Delisha's answers and then answer one of the questions and take turns with everyone else. To begin.
Yeah, Janine at Janine Devine asked, what performance by a black actor did you find groundbreaking?
So I really did I was gonna do all Denzel just to stay on brand, but I was like, no, we're gonna challenge ourselves, except for this first question. I am going with the first film that I really recognized like Denzel as like an actor. At I think I was a kid, so I was like, everyone's an actor if they're on television, but I don't know. It was in his performance in Glory, which we watched in school during our Civil War run during history class
Right.
that we do every year. It was, I don't know. He just always struck me as like, man, that's acting. And I don't know. It was that one and then Training Day that just like immediately just gets me like, gosh darn it, this dude can act. But I did want to give honorable mention to Angela Bassett, who is just she's basically the female Denzel in my opinion. Like I don't ever see her do a bad performance in anything, and she's like I think she jokes that she's like Hollywood's mom or something like that. But those two, I can't remember. Have those two ever done a movie together?
Ooh, I don't know. Let us know in the chat if Denzel and Angela Bassett have been in a movie together.
If not, that needs to happen before I die.
Nice.
Can we tweet them? Can someone tweet them and be like, you guys need to get together and do a movie?
For sure. And we were going to answer this one with Del. Did you want to give your answer?
Well, my answer is also Denzel Washington. I mean, I always knew who Denzel Washington was. He was definitely a household name. But when I saw John Q. Public, I like understood like motivation, like how important it was to storytelling. For anyone who doesn't know, his son is dying and needs a heart transplant. He's like on the list, so nobody will like help him. So the dad's forced to like take like hostages at a hospital to get him a heart transplant. Really good ending. Like, if you haven't seen it, please go watch it. But it just tackles like what would you do in that situation. He seems like the bad guy to everybody in the hotel or in the hospital, but he's doing it for his kid. So I just thought it was really good storytelling, and that was like the first time I realized like how much the character's motivation affects that.
Yeah, my choice for this question was Laverne Cox in Orange is the New Black. She's amazing, and her character is so interesting, and I think it's really important the way that her character was handled, and to give you so much backstory of what she's been through, because it really is hard transitioning. And I love that they spent so much time showing you that trans people are human too, and she has such a rich backstory, and I love the complicated but beautiful relationship that she has with her wife, and I love that she's really respected by the other women in prison, and no one really treats her any differently other than maybe wanting a little extra help from her, because she does kind of have like some certain privileges and stuff, and I just think it's really beautiful portrayal. And they have I think it's like her twin brother playing her before transition and stuff, and it's really just amazing and brilliant, that whole show in general, and of course with several wonderful Black actresses, but she's my favorite because she's just like knocking down doors all over Hollywood and breaking ground every day with the things that she's doing. She's getting cast in roles that were never written for trans people in the first place and just were written for women. And to
She
me,
just got a
like,
show.
yeah, to me, that's the ultimate goal right there, is that people aren't just seeing her as a trans person, they're just seeing her as a woman now. And it's beautiful, and it's really important, and she's electric and amazing in everything that she's ever done, particularly here where you do get to see like a wide range of different feelings and emotions and stories with her characters. So definitely
Yeah, I
Laverne.
agree. Yeah, I
In the
kind
chat,
of.
oh, sorry. In the chat, we're being told that Denzel and Angela Bassett were both in Malcolm X.
Oh, there you go. A good one.
I haven't seen that one in so long. I kind of forgot. But it's time for them to update their resume and work together again. But going back to Laverne Cox, I definitely agree. I've kind of like fell off with Orange Is the New Black. I only got through like halfway of like season 1, but I always remember her. Even if it's just like even if just seeing her in a clip, like I'm always drawn to her. She's one of those people who can just draw you in almost without even saying anything, just like some of her facial expressions just draws her in. And then when I just see her in interviews, so like her personality, just like it's like I want to hang out with her. She seems like she'd be really fun to hang out with. But yeah, I think that was a good choice for Laverne. Cool.
Yeah, she's awesome, and she's beautiful too, and just like to some of the stuff that she goes through, like there's a point where they're not giving her as much like hormones and meds as she needs, and not realizing that this isn't like a vanity thing for her. She needs these hormones because it will completely devastate what happens to her body and stuff. And I feel like it deals with issues that a lot of people don't even think about in that community, and really gets like the conversation going to normalize some of this stuff. So like she's awesome. 2 thumbs up for her. I'm like really excited that we have somebody like Laverne Cox like doing this amazing, important work nowadays. So I just love her. She's awesome.
She just seems so nice.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
Like, goes a long way.
For sure.
Question 2 was asked by Nolan.
Yeah. Nolan Dean at Nolan Dean 27 asked, "What's the best movie by a Black director?"
This one was hard, mainly because there is a lot of movies that I could choose from, but I wanted to go with Spike Lee, even though he kind of almost feels like a safe answer, like because he's done his filmography is so dense. But I did realize I haven't seen a lot of his movies in a long time since I was a kid. And then also another one I was thinking about was Anton Fuqua. Well, he works with Denzel a lot, so of course that came to mind. But I just went with one of my favorites from those two, which from Spike Lee would probably be Do the Right Thing, which is probably one of his most known works. But I just love that Spike Lee is not afraid to showcase like Black issues in the community, whether it be like the positive things and also the things that we struggle with, and not shy away from that, and just really bring that towards the forefront. And then with Anton Fuqua, Training Day, I just keep going back to it. It's one of, I don't know if it was the movie that put Denzel on the map, but it's one of the ones that everyone goes back to, especially that scene. Like everyone loves to quote it. I don't know. People might say if it's the best movie, but those two are the best movies. But those are the two that sort of resonates me. And then when I do think of like Black directors, those are the two that just come to the forefront. And I do like now that we're getting not like a resurgence, but they're getting more opportunities. Like we had Barry Jenkins with Moonlight I almost said last night. Guys, I need to go to sleep. With last year, and now we have Ava DuVernay coming up next month for Regular Time. We just had Black Panther, which is doing bonkers in the box office. It's just amazing to hear, and it's like not just because it's the Black director. It was like it's a damn good movie, but it's just so great. But we did have a lot of these directors in the past who kind of paved the way, whether it be Spike Lee, Anton Fuqua, or like John Singleton, and there's a couple others from way back in the day, but I forgot their names. But I think when the first ones that came to mind was immediately Spike Lee would Do the Right Thing, and how he's not afraid to just put like Black issues out there, whether they're uncomfortable for people to watch or not. But he's like, this is what we go through. I'm gonna put it out there.
Yeah, I love Spike Lee. I've always appreciated like how he's like ballsy and he's tough, and he's kind of like, I'm gonna make what I want to make, and I want to make people have conversations about things, because if you don't have conversations about things that are important, then nothing gets done, and I always liked his work, and that he really did have like his own voice, and was pretty much like way ahead of his time with what he was doing. And it's awesome that he's still making stuff. I watched the show that he just recently did for Netflix not too long ago that was a remake of one of his old movies.
Yeah.
I think it's called She's Got a Habit, and I really enjoyed that. And the fact that somebody is iconic enough to go back and remake one of their own movies as a TV show like speaks for itself. And I hope that he can continue it, because I think he does like again really important and interesting work, and no one's like Spike Lee.
Yeah, my backup answer was Spike Lee for Inside Man, because like he's amazing at tackling the issues that affect people of color and everything like that. But he's also capable of just making a really good movie. Like besides the fact, like he doesn't, like I feel like some people have, like they are so in touch with a certain issue that the other stuff kind of falls to the wayside. But he's just talented all around.
But he pokes fun at stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like there's a whole thing about that with these artists in I think it's New York, and She's Gotta Have It, with these artists who are trying to like make stuff that's like really Afrocentric, and like, the main character just paints these beautiful portraits, and people kind of like give her crap that she's not making enough of a statement. But some of their artwork is trying so hard to make a statement that it's not actually like good artwork
like
anymore.
authentic.
So like he plays with those ideas almost like a self-commentary, I think, too,
Yeah.
which is really interesting.
But Inside Man, it stars Clive Owen. It has to do with a bank robbery. Really good with suspense, and it's smart. It's really smart.
Yeah, I like the ending of the movie. It was like, oh wow.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, there's a lot of movies we're gonna be mentioning that were like, we don't want to say the ending, but
for sure.
yes, there's a lot.
We're going to give our answers
number.
with other callers later to move things along. But question 3, the lovely Delisha Renee, she's in front of you right now. She asked, what genre would you like to see more black roles be expanded?
Yeah, this one, when I asked this question, there was one genre that came to mind like immediately, and that was fantasy sci-fi. I would really like to see more roles, whether it's just a prevalent black cast or just either one being in the league. We're kind of getting that with A Wrinkle in Time sort of next month, so I'm pretty excited about that. But I don't know, I've never seen, because of course we have our Star Wars and our Star Treks and stuff. Well, those are the biggies, of course. And I guess comic movies kind of get pushed into that realm as well, because it is kind of like a fantasy type stories. But yeah, I would really like to see more exploration of the commentary of social issues in that sci-fi realm, whether it is dealing with black issues or not, or just overall just human issues with sort of like a person of color in the lead. Because believe it or not, when people seem to be not weirded out, but like they don't think like black people read or listen or watch sci-fi, but we love them just as much as anyone else does. That was one of the genre of books that really got me into reading, honestly. So it'd be really cool to see more roles like that. I guess we kind of got that with the Book of Eli, maybe. Ish. I don't know, but that was one of the few I could think of that had a person of color in the lead, and we're starting slowly to see that in Star Wars. And I guess we do get that with and we got that in Avatar with, but it's always time that it was makeup in blue, so didn't really think of her as a person of color in the league. And then we had her again in Star Trek, but I don't know. I would like to see more in that fantasy sci-fi realm.
Yeah, I almost picked fantasy too. That I also think that definitely more representation can happen, and definitely Black Panther has like a fantasy element to it, but like that's cool. But like when Bright was coming out about how like it's like a modern like the fact that they had to put it in like the inner city kind of made it like, I don't know. It just, I haven't watched it. I'm probably not gonna watch it.
Based on what people were saying in the chat when they watched it, I was like, I don't feel like it's worth my time.
It just feels so like heavy-handed.
Yeah. And I think, like you were saying, I think it's a ridiculous misconception to say nowadays that people of color aren't interested in
Subnotes.
like sci-fi or any type of movie, because obviously everybody is different and has their own taste, and just because you're whatever color or gender doesn't mean anything about what your preferences are going to be. So I do think they're moving forward with stuff like A Wrinkle in Time, which excites me a lot when I watch the trailer because the cast is bonkers and it looks like a whole lot of fun. But it is starting to just now get to a place where they're making it for audiences that just aren't like nerdy white dudes, which is awesome. And I'm hoping that this movie does really well so that we get more stuff like that.
Like, there's like 2 representations of persons of color of like fantasy that I can think of off the top of my head, and that's Heimdall and Thor, who's a badass, but he's pushed to the side, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And then it's Damon Wayans' character, or I get the brothers mixed up, but there's like 4 of them, so I'm sorry. But he's in that Dungeons and Dragons movie with the guy from Sliders, I think. It was so bad. So like it's either like they're the comedy like relief, or the badass, and I'll take Heimdall over Marlon Wayans
for sure.
But all
right. Last question today. Billy at Buster Bill asked, "What is the best film with a black lead?"
All right. Again, I don't know if this is the best film, but I kind of wanted to go with the dark horse pick, and that would be Set It Off with Queen Latifah. Sorry, Kimberly Elise and Jada Pinkett Smith, and there's always that 4th one. I always forget her name. I'm sorry, but this was one of the I guess would they consider a big blockbuster? I don't know, but with a dominant female cast, and then for the cast to be 4 black women. I just thought that was really neat, and it was a really cool like action bank robbery heist movie. On top of that, it was just I thought the writing was really great, and it used to be on BET like all the time, but it's just one of those movies you can just sit back and watch at any point in time, whether it's on cable or if you just decide to put it on yourself and just watch it from whichever time you come into it. And it's just a really fun movie. And then it also delved into, again, on top of the heist, it kind of got some undertone of just middle class women who were tired of getting the dirt jobs, trying to make a better life for themselves. I just really enjoyed that movie, and I thought that was pretty neat.
Nice.
Awesome. All right, Del. Well, thank you so much for calling in and for suggesting this episode. It's been a lot of fun so far, and we're only the first guest in. Do you have anything you'd like to plug or tell anyone where they'd like to find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Delisha_Renee. And I want to plug Janine, catch her in making her debut on the movie trivia Throwdown over on Collider. She had a really great match on last Friday. Won't spoil it, but it was against the actress Bonnie Somerville. But I really think you should go check that out. I also wore her shirt today. I just like wearing her shirts because they're awesome designs. But I was mad that this didn't come in time for Black Panther. So I was like, this is another great time to wear it during our Black Excellence episode. So I want to plug Janine, and you can follow her at Janine the Bean on Twitter and check out her designs.
Well, that's actually a perfect segue because I think Janine is calling in next.
That's funny. I did not do that on purpose because I did not know that.
Well, now time on the segues. It's great. Thank you so much, Delisha, for joining us. It's been a pleasure as always.
Always.
Have a great night.
I'll see you in the chat.
Bye.
All right, night.
Eject. All right. So, just me now. I'm all on myself. All by myself. Now nothing is loading in here. All right, we're going to try the link again. Because Hangouts hates me. It just hates me. Look at that. Actually, already knew that because of our conversation the other day.
He said, "What else could?"
Has anyone else come in since we checked the chat? No, everyone else is still here. Nobody new. Nobody new. Just the same old crew of miscreants. We're like the island of misfit toys over here. Nobody wants a Charles in a box. Can't wait to go to Austin so I can be a heat miser. Like,
see how much you're loving it when it's super hot.
They call me heat miser.
I do worry about Morgan's health because
He'll
he
be
was
fine.
dying here last year.
He's gonna be a pasty barn.
He would be correcting you. It's pronounced pasty.
No, but I'm saying it pasty because
Yes, it is pasty.
yes, puns. Oh, the Batman the Animated Series is there because we were talking about it with Bill on Research and Destroy.
True story.
Guest spots. We know Janine has been having a couple issues with her computer, so it might just take a minute to get her in here. So our friend Malcolm from the anime episode, I don't know if you remember, that was the one where I was dressed up like a schoolgirl. If you haven't seen it, it's up. I wear a schoolgirl uniform. It's Kimber's. Just a heads up, Tom. Celebration is spelled wrong in the description. As long as it's not spelled wrong in the title, I can fix it later. It's fine. But so he had a broken PS4, and I fixed it. So we'll be doing odd-shaped plays on the PS4 once I get a headset, which Cal's already telling me all the cheap ways to get one. So Cal is on top of it, man.
He is.
Like, I was just like, hey, look what I got. And he's like, all right, now this is what you need to do. Best Buy might do a yearly subscription at a certain time. You can save 30%. Like, he calculate. I can show you the text. Like, I got detailed notes. Yes, he dressed like a samurai. That's right, Cal. So you can add me on the PlayStation Network at Ajay Plays.
Also, we met Malcolm's baby, and she dances. Like, if you play music, she loves to dance, and it's cute. She was like a little baby Groot.
She's baby Groot. Yeah. So add me. Give me your games so I can play them. It's nice for us though, because our PS3 has been. I'm always like, this is the first time I've ever had the system while the system's been out. Like, I just got the PS3 when the PS4
We've just had a
came out.
string of bad luck in general, so it was nice to have
a win.
Yes.
No, he told me the plugin was installed, but it wasn't.
Okay, we'll put someone in first.
We'll keep trying, Janine.
Tom Zambino.
Tom Zampino. We can party up now. Yeah, I don't exactly know
Party
how that.
up and party down.
I don't know exactly how it works, but we'll be down to try out whatever, whenever. Who am I? Tom.
Tom Zampino.
And his. Oh, I knew this. Oh, is that what it is?
Something like that.
Big jabroni. Big.
Shh. Don't say it. I thought that's what it was.
Big gazebo. Biggie Smalls Bigs.
Or you can just send if Tom is in there. I haven't seen him in the chat in a minute. Is he around?
Where did you go, my lovely? Brown, 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 brown. Links for Tom to click. And if it doesn't work, then we'll figure it out.
He went back up in the chat. Scroll down.
Oh, I was trying to. I just sent you a friend request. Cool. He was sitting back, relaxing.
There's a mess tonight, you guys.
God of War.
Error.
Can we have your email again? I'm sorry.
Tom, this week, I think we need to write down the emails.
There's so many things to do.
Yeah, as we get closer to the impending move, we might not have as many shows for a while.
Or the plan is boot camp for my podcasts to take over production for a few weeks. So if they want to keep the podcast going, it's up to them. But we'll figure it out. Could be a little vacation for everybody. It's the beginning of the spring. So.
Oh, we also have that little fundraiser going with the
Shirts.
Texas, the Keep Austin or Keep
Odd Shape channel weird.
There it is.
Because for those of you who don't know, Tom, you need to send the link at the top of the button. That's what I do, dude. What I do. Gonna do this again. What if I send an email one? Doesn't that also work? Share via email? I'll do that too. I'm just gonna do all of them. Wait, I don't know his email address. This just isn't working out for anyone.
Yeah, I won't be forgetting that belt. Don't you worry.
The belt's gonna be on the grill of the car as we drive up. There we go.
Hello there.
Hey.
Hello.
Turning you guys down, you are quite loud on my side. There we are.
Sorry. So I'm gonna throw it over to Kimber and Mavis.
If Mavis asks me questions, I'm going to be quite surprised.
She will try to talk to you. She does try that. All right, so Janine at Janine Devine asked, what performance by a black actor did you find groundbreaking?
So there's an obvious answer here, but unfortunately I haven't seen that movie, so I'm going to let someone else possibly answer it. But of course I've got to go Star Trek with this one, with Nichelle Nichols as Lieutenant Uhura, because that's one of the... I don't know any sort of historical data behind this, but it was one of the first major roles for a woman of color on any sort of TV show, let alone a sci-fi series. And sure, she may have been the one answering phone calls. This is true, but she was also a pivotal part of the crew and treated as an equal, which in 1960s was a pretty big deal. And of course, you have, the famous first interracial kiss on TV, so she had that going for her, and just continued to be a badass, even more of a badass through the movies. So Nichelle as Uhura.
I saw an interview. Spoke in real quick. She used to march with Martin Luther King, and she didn't want to do the show. She thought it was kind of dumb. And Martin Luther King was like, "No, it's important. Like, be there, represent. Like, you're doing more than you think by just doing like this dumb little show on TV. Like, you're a figurehead now." Like, it was cool. She always talks about it. I've seen multiple interviews.
I think I remember that. It was mentioned in Leonard Nimoy's book as well. I forget which one. It was one of the Spock books, but I think he mentioned that as well.
Nice. At Nolan Dean 27 asked, what's the best movie by a black director?
This one I had to Google to see if I could think of a better answer, but I could not, because my answer is fantastic. It's Boys in the Hood.
Nice.
I did not expect to like that movie, especially seeing like the opening credits seemed kind of cheesy at first, but then you realize how heartfelt and heavy that story was, and how kind of sad the story was. I believe we used to watch it in my sociology class in college, so it was pretty important as well. I didn't realize how big this movie was before hearing about it in that class. I remember watching it in high school or something. This was something I was first introduced to at school, which is one of those weird situations where the movies they're actually allowed to show you are good and mean something.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. Sorry, I got a little distracted by the chat. You know how all that goes. And we were actually going to give our answers for this one with you too. And I hope that people don't think that this answer is my choice because it's such a new movie, but this answer is my choice because I think in 50 years people are still going to be talking about this movie, and that its legacy might even be greater at that point than it is right now. And that's Get Out.
Cootie Tang. Oh.
No, Get Out and Get Out both, but Get Out's amazing. It really blew me away, and we really love Key and Peele, but to have Jordan Peele, who's such a hilarious dude, deliver this movie that was so filled with suspense and so different and unique and everything that it was, making huge statements as well, and making all this deep conversation about every little detail in this movie, because it is really detailed and really layered and even more interesting on the second viewing. But I just love Get Out so much. It was easily my favorite movie of last year. And I really think there's nothing else like this movie. And it caused a wide range of reactions and lots of different people who went to watch this movie. And it's just really something special, and definitely my favorite choice for a movie by a Black director at the moment.
And
So
a pretty fantastic performance by actor whose name I'm not going to try and pronounce and butcher.
Yeah, he was amazing. I almost think it's a shame that he didn't get more to do in Black Panther, because he blew me away with his performance in Get Out, and obviously he's got range, and he was a little more subdued of a performance in Black Panther. But even just the trailer for Get Out, you see this dude pouring these tears down his face and sitting there.
Even if he didn't do that much in Black Panther, he gives great reaction face.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And it was nice to see him in that, because I hope he gets into a lot of movies, because he's a super talented guy, and I'd love to see him have an awesome career and make interesting choices like the movies that he's been in recently.
Yeah. Back on Jordan Peele real quick. It's interesting to go to watch Get Out. Excuse me, to watch Get Out, and then to go back and watch Key and Peele again, because you see all these little hints oh, he's been a horror director this whole time. Not to say he can't direct other things, but he puts these little elements in there that
he's obviously a horror fan first and foremost, with some of the skits there. And yeah, I think he knocked it out of the park. He put that pussy on the chain wax, in my opinion, from the show.
Getting some comments on my hairline. I appreciate that.
Who said that?
Okay.
Is that the guy who's been being rude? Okay, Delisha at Delisha Renee asked, what genre would you like to see more Black roles be expanded?
I had an answer for that, but I blanked for a minute. Crap. Let's go with my general theme and go with car movies. I don't think we get that many real enthusiast movies with roles other than the sidekick. There was the tech dude in Gone in 60 Seconds, Ludacris, but really those guys, Tyrese, those guys are basically just sidekicks. You really don't get that many car movies with a black actor being the hero, or even if there's a bad guy, or involved in car chases that much that aren't a complete joke, aka Tyrese. So yeah, I'd say car movies.
Nice. Yeah, that's an interesting choice. I don't even know if I would have thought of car movies even as a genre. So, but of course you're the car guy. You definitely know more about it than I do.
I don't know what else to put Need for Speed, so it's a genre now.
Nice. Fair enough.
You can't just say because
it's not really just action.
You used to be able to say Too Fast, Too Furious was a genre itself. Well, I guess you can say that more, because it's just adapting new genres into it in every movie, becoming this big blob of I'm a heist movie and a family values movie.
Nice. All right, one more question today. Billy at Bbuster Bill asked, "What is the best film with a black lead?"
I've been waiting for this one because I had actually not seen this movie until about a year and a half ago. So it was pretty recent, even though it is a iconic movie. It's I love comedy, and this was by far and away, in my opinion, Eddie Murphy's best performance. Coming to America.
Nice.
I love Coming to America. Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall are fantastic. It didn't rely too heavily on just being a kooky situation, even though that's essentially what it was. It's just one of the best fish out of water movies of all time, and I love those little fish out of water movies. Just watching him be, you know, this big king or this big prince, incredibly rich, trying to hide that the entire movie was hilarious. Kind of turned tables on your standard comedy roles for black actors back in the 80s, where now he's the rich guy. I did that again in Trading Places, but Coming to America was still better.
I mean, it's I think it's Marvel canon that the country that they're from in Coming to America is right next to Wakanda, right? Were you telling me?
Something about that
Yeah.
I read about.
But I like those parallels. I mean, they're both very they're kingly. They're like they have a very regal, like even if Eddie Murphy's character is not aware of it in the beginning, you know what I mean? Because there's room to grow in that story.
I have loved the cosplay that people have been doing at the Black Panther screenings.
Yeah.
Stuff. It's so fun and awesome and cool to see.
But I don't remember where I was going with that. Anyway, yeah, it's cool. I like it. And that's
the last one.
That's all of them. I know you just did another James Bond. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
Cars and Popcorn. Yeah.
Tell the people about it.
Yes, indeed. We did Cars and Popcorn Bond Volume 2, this time with microphones. That's pretty much the difference. Microphones and a lot of weird discussion. It went off the rails. It was a lot of fun. So go to Zed Reviews on YouTube and check it out, and do all that YouTube jargon, the comment, the subscribe, all that stuff, and on Twitter at Rotator3, of course.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you so much, Tom. As always, it's been a delight, and have a great night.
You as well.
Bye. And then Tom went away. Janine, is there any word on what's?
Oh yeah.
Zemon.
Any luck, Janine? Zamunda, that'll be the country that they're from and Coming to America.
Yeah, I was just trying to say it. I was gonna say it wrong, probably.
Why does Cal want people to roar at him? Is he like a emo teen?
Roar. No, he's a really excited photographer. You're a tiger.
All right, let's try to send her another one.
No.
Canvas is here, you guys.
What was it?
That was for Skype. I don't think that's...
No, it's the same.
Is it?
Yeah.
N-I-E. No, take away the other N. N? There's another N there.
Where?
Here.
I thought that's what I had.
No, you had extra.
Oh, right. And what are the numbers? Brother?
I didn't have anyone
No,
do
okay.
Skype, but I don't know if it's the same.
We got it. I think we got it. Oh, it's not letting me invite anybody. There we go. There we go.
Mavis really wants to be a part of the show tonight, so I'm just going to let her for a minute.
Hi. What are you doing?
I love that story that's coming out today that with Black Panther being so successful, they're having much better luck getting black cats adopted from, you know, like all the places that you can put cats that no one can take care of. They're running out of black cats because everybody's adopting them and naming them T'Challa and Okoye and Killmonger and stuff. And I think that's really
As long
exciting.
as they take care of them, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it's
the same
hard.
thing happened with 101 Dalmatians. So.
Yeah, but just it's hard because black cats have an unfortunate stigma that they're bad luck and this, that, and the other, and now they're flying like hotcakes.
I almost
so.
said that. That's fine. Are you comfortable?
Maybe
Because
this.
I'm not. Hi.
Hi. Hey, kitty cat. Where's Janine? Candace likes her. I know Candace, she needs to be best friends with Momo.
Takes two Mavises to make one.
Momo, who is a black cat, and we've gone full circle.
Yeah.
There it is.
I think comic book girl, whatever, 9,000.
Candace says she has a Black Panther photo of Momo. That needs to be posted so I can see that. And if you guys didn't see the outfit that she wore to Black Panther, it was pretty on point. Just throwing that out there. But you probably did because I was bragging about Candace. All right. Yes, and Geek to My Nerd, they've got a couple black kitties as well. And our former roommate has one, Luna. I'm hoping Janine's going to be able to get in today.
Him Nirvana, him Nirvana. Him Nirvana, him Nirvana. Him Nirvana, him. Wouldn't it be crazy if I just brought my hands back and she wasn't there? Like, where would she have gone?
You should get a cat now, Eric. Cats are the bee's knees. They're easy to take care of. Everyone should have cats. Candace liked your Lion King bit with Mavis.
She chills sometimes.
Yeah, she's something.
For a second, I was like, oh no, I have to go to work soon. But it's Monday.
No.
I don't have to go to work. Ba, ba, ba. All right. I think we're going to try the next person. And if Janine comes in, we'll just have them both on the call. We'll figure it out. Next is Joe and Ashley.
Yes.
So are you folks ready? Am I calling Geek to My Nerd? Yeah, because
yeah.
Ashley said it. So.
Yeah, I didn't have dogs growing up. My parents got a family dog, but I was much older at that point. I've always had cats, so it doesn't really feel like home unless there's a cat there, for sure.
You remember what life
Easter
was?
egg, your name's in there.
It is. Do you remember what life was like before Mavis?
No. Well, Luna was there, so it wasn't completely cat-free.
That's true. There was a cat there. First time Kimber met Luna, Luna scratched her nose. Email it to Joe. Oh no, I already sent it to Geek to My Nerd. I'll fix it.
Let's go ahead and tell the whole story. The first time I met Luna is when I came to see Tom for the first time in person, and she scratched my face on day one of my visit. So in all of my pictures of the first time I came to visit Tom, my face is scratched from Luna. Yay.
I don't remember Joe's email.
It's very master something.
Master something. Oh no, I'm just gonna put the link in here. This is
You
like the most.
That quote? talking about trying the same thing and expecting
It's
different
insanity,
results.
right?
Yes.
That's how I'm feeling. I'm sorry, Janine, that's not working for you. All right.
Why can't you be cute like that in the background of the show?
Joe and Ashley, the link's in the chat.
Look at her. Why can't she do that behind where people can see?
She's being cute. I just put that. I don't know what's going on. Now it shows up. Google's the best thing in the world. So, that worked.
It did.
Hello.
How's it going?
Hello?
Going pretty well.
Can you hear
Oh
us?
no, you're super low. Hold on.
Oh. How about now?
I think this is one of those times, Joe, that we're gonna have to do it again.
All right. Do I exit?
Oh wait, I can kind of hear you now. Oh. Now I can't hear him at all. It's like he was never even. Oh, he's back.
How about now?
Much
There you
better.
There.
Welcome.
Okay. How's
How
it
are
going?
you? Doing good, doing good. I was just about to say, the only game I have for the PS4 right now is Battlefront.
Well, we can fix that.
Yes, but that's probably what I'll be playing next until I get something else to play. But I'm excited. You'll have to show me the ins and outs of the PS4 because you guys are pros over at Geek to My Nerd. How's it going?
It's going pretty well between school and streaming and such.
Yeah, you guys are busy. All right,
My
so
faces are on my shirt.
yeah, I mean, I don't know how you're in two places at once. You're on Kimber's shirt and on screen.
Magic powers.
Yeah.
Some Mr. Manhattan stuff. All right, Mr. Manhattan. I have yet to see his degree.
It's from one of those
Um,
schools where you just, you know, you
To
mail
Vry-
in your name and $200 and you get your
Of
diploma.
university. All right. Question number one. Our good friend Janine, who unfortunately cannot call us, asked, "What performance by a black actor did you find the most groundbreaking?"
For me, I grew up with a lot of old movies, like movies way older than I am currently. And for me, I always loved Sidney Poitier in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner.
Right.
And with an honorable mention to In the Heat of the Night, because also I love the TV series and the movie just kind of spawned that, and the movie was fantastic as well.
Nice. What about you, Ashley?
You have to agree with Joe, but I'd also like to add Cleavon Little in Blazing Saddles. He's the one that plays Sheriff Bart, and I just love the class that he brings to that role. Of course, it was written with Richard Pryor in mind, but the studio wouldn't approve of Richard Pryor because of his offstage antics, so I think Cleavon Little really did something special with that role, and that's why it's such an iconic movie, even though, you know, sometimes it's not as great as, or it's great, but, you know, like sometimes it has problematic elements for today.
Why don't
All
we
right.
just ask
Yeah, I'm
Janine
gonna ask Janine
too?
right now.
Janine
Janine.
popped in.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Awesome.
All right. So you asked us what performance by a black actor did you find the most groundbreaking? What's the answer to your own question?
I'm probably going to say all the female leads in The Color Purple. That was the first time I think 3 black actors have been nominated for an Oscar in the same movie. And it was a movie about a black woman done by like a big mainstream director like Steven Spielberg. I thought that was definitely a big deal. I mean, it follows her through her whole life. I think she starts at 14 pregnant with her father's child, and then it follows her for the next 30 years. It was Whoopi Goldberg's first movie going from comedy to this, and Oprah Winfrey's first movie. So definitely very groundbreaking.
Awesome. Yeah,
Great
perfect.
answer. All right, question number 2. You got this?
Nolan Dean at Nolan Dean 27 asked, "What is the best movie by a black director?" Ashley and Joe.
Probably gonna go with Get Out, even though, like you said, it's recent, but it is probably gonna be talked about. I think it's the beginning of like a renaissance period of films and such, where we're gonna get that kind of quality of film, and it's fantastic. It's just fantastic.
And I also like the message of the movie that like these kind of prejudices can exist in the groups that you would not normally expect to see that prejudice from. That it's not just one group that's discriminating. There's all sorts of different layers of discrimination that can occur.
Yeah, it's really interesting too because Jordan Peele is biracial. His dad is black and his mom is white, and I think that makes it even more interesting that he wrote Get Out with that sort of perspective. It's so good. I could talk about that movie all day. What about you, Janine? Uh-oh. Oh no.
There's Janine again. We have 2 Janines now.
There's 2 Janines.
Which one's the Janine, did you have an answer for this one?
Well, I talked about this a lot on my Twitter, and so my answer is Hollywood Shuffle. It was directed by Robert Townsend, and it's definitely a great watch to see before Black Panther. I mean, I feel like he was woke before woke was a thing, because in this movie, he kind of tackles the issue of Black actors kind of being stereotyped as like pimps and slaves and gangsters, and those are like the only roles for them. And why can't they play the hero, like action star, like a Rambo? Why are they just relegated to these stereotypical roles? And it's actually really funny and smart. So I really love that movie. And seeing that before seeing Black Panther definitely gave that movie more weight to see how far we've come. And that movie came out like late 80s, early 90s. So definitely very smart movie for that time.
Nice.
Awesome choice.
All right, number 3, our good friend Delisha,
Yeah,
who was just here.
Delisha_Renee asked, "What genre would you like to see more black roles expanded?" Ashley and Joe?
Okay.
Sorry.
Who's first?
Let her go first.
You guys go ahead.
Okay.
Round robin.
I'd love sci-fi. I would love to see. I know it's already been talked about, but I'd love to see black actors take up more of a role. Like Star Trek, the new Star Trek, which I'm not even a huge Star Trek fan, kind of already started doing that. But I would like to see black actors take up more of a role other than like Lawrence Fishburne being the salty starship captain that's a side character in the film. Because that's for a very long time, that's what it felt like. I think there's like 2 movies where that's his role in the film.
Interesting. Yeah. Ashley?
I didn't have a particular genre in mind, but just more leading roles for black actors would be nice instead of just being relegated to comic relief or side characters. I think that we need more diversity in our films, because we do have a very diverse population in our country, and it's not represented very well on film. So it's time to start making that change. It doesn't always have to be the same type of people cast in these leading roles. There can be some diversity there.
For sure.
How about you, Janine? What do you think?
I'd say action. Like the action you see black actors in are usually like buddy comedies. I'd love to see, there's a lot of talk of Idris Elba as James Bond, but I would just love to see Idris Elba do any kind of action lead role that's kind of more mainstream. And also maybe like romantic comedies, more mainstream. Like I'm really excited to see Taraji P. Henson. She's going to do a spin on what women want, but it's switched. So I would love to see more rom-coms from that perspective that are more mainstream and not just like black movies.
Totally.
Nice.
For sure. And Tom?
What, did we answer this one already?
We didn't.
Yeah, we did with Tom Sambino. The genre one.
Genre one? Did we do that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. Let's do it again.
Racing movies.
He said, but we didn't say our answers.
Oh, we didn't say our answers.
Yeah.
So this is the twofer. We have to give 2 answers on this call.
No, just
okay. Horror. I mean, I like that you know, we have Get Out, but there's no reason it has to stop there. Now, I want it smart horror. I don't want jump scares. I'm not trying to promote more bad movies. I just want good movies like Get Out that have something to say and not just like.
And to just like smash the trope that like the black guy has to die first.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like terrible in horror movies, and it's so like overdone. And I would love to see just like a lead in a movie be the black character. And like obviously we've seen it done a few times, and I know that you have a choice about that later that we get to talk about. But it's incredibly rare, and it should be that's like a trope that needs to be done away with for sure.
Definitely.
And I'm also with Joe and all the other people who are talking about fantasy and sci-fi.
Yeah.
Needing more people of color for sure.
Sci-fi was sci-fi we were talking about too. And I mean, I would love to see a black guy fight a dragon. Like, is that so wrong? Like,
they could have done it with Bright. That could have been a good movie.
There's just something rubbed me the wrong way right from the beginning before I even knew there was a certain somebody attached to it. Like,
yeah. I just do wish it had, like you were saying, it doesn't have to be like that urban setting.
Yeah,
and like
to have a black antagonist, like it makes it feel forced. At least, I mean, I have nothing to say on it really. You know
There's
what I mean?
a lot
like,
wrong with that movie. We've seen it. It killed one of our TVs. There's a lot wrong with that movie.
Oh, God.
That's how you know it's bad. All right, one more question for you guys tonight. Billy at B-Buster Bill asked, what is the best film with a black lead?
There's so many good ones. I'm gonna go with something that's near and dear to my heart, and it's a cheesy pick, but The First Blade is so good. Like,
yeah,
I know there's issues with the movie, but it's fun, and it's like the golden renaissance. It's like it's one of the early sparks of like what a good comic book movie could be. And I'm not a huge fan of the second and third one, with exceptions to parts of them, but the first one is just. It's a solid movie with a lot of good action and a lot of fun, and it makes Steven Dorff relatively likable as a villain. And, you know, in general, it's just really good. I'm still holding out hope that they'll bring Wesley Snipes back for Blade and retcon the other 3 Blade movies into the MCU. Like, hey, this happened like 20 years ago. People just don't remember.
Yeah, I believe it, man. He looks the same age.
Yeah,
like,
for real.
Black don't crack.
Yeah. No one gives Blade credit either. It had bullet time before The Matrix.
Yep.
Ooh.
It also had the awesome black leather before The Matrix.
Nice. In defense of the other 2 Blade movies, I love the other 2 Blade movies, particularly the third one, which everybody hates, but like...
It's because Ryan Reynolds has a beard.
Listen, Ryan Reynolds is naked through most of it. Like, when Ryan Reynolds has the beard, that's about the best he's ever looked. Him and when he's chopping wood in the Amityville horror remake. I hate horror remakes, but I'll watch that one any day.
As a side note, I don't think the other 2 are bad. I just don't like them as much. I would say the Blade trilogy is still a better trilogy than Ninja Turtles. Because 3 is so bad.
Ashley, did you have an answer?
Yes, I do. I really love the TV movie of Raisin in the Sun, starring Sean Combs as the lead character. Felicia Rashad plays his mother, and David Oyelowo is in it as I can't remember which character he is, but he's one of the love interests for the sister in the movie, and it's just a really great movie. I think it's definitely like above a TV movie quality, but it's just a really good adaptation of that play to see the struggle of the family as they're trying to rise out of their situation, and then like the setbacks that, you know, keep preventing them from leaving their little neighborhood, whether it's things that the main character does or societal things. It's a really good story, and it's a really good adaptation of that story. So I like it a lot. We show it every year at school.
Awesome. And how about you, Janine?
I had a hard time deciding. I really loved Creed. I loved how that, you know, kind of refreshed this franchise that everybody loves and made it new, but also hung on to the things that everybody loved about the Rocky franchise. But I think I'm going to go and give more love to Get Out. I mean, in a sea of like sequels and reboots and remakes, this was a really fresh, original idea. I love that, you know, it lends itself well to rewatchability because you find little more clues that, you know, have a lot of symbolism, great performances. I love that it felt like an expanded Twilight Zone episode. Just love that movie.
Yeah, I'm a classic horror person because I feel like modern horror gets a little stale and that they don't try new things and that it's like the same shit over and over and over again. And this movie like made me excited about horror again, and it made me feel a little different about like what modern horror could be. And I hope that they take note from how good this was and how much people loved it, because like really there's nothing else like this, and this should set the bar for what horror should be. Like, if you're not going to make it that good, then you shouldn't make it.
Yeah. And it was so smart to tackle these social issues in the vein of horror. Like, who would have thought to do that?
It's scary. The fact that we still have to deal with it is scary. Dude, the silent auction
it's
piece,
terrifying.
I was, like, horrified.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that dude's being memed now.
Oh, my gosh, with the Black Panther meme.
I saw Black Panther 3 times. Or, no,
I'd see it 3 times if I could.
Because it's Obama. That's funny.
But that's the last question for tonight. I know you have to get out of here, Janine, because you're going to see Black Panther again, right?
For what
for
time?
For the 4th time. 4th. So it's my mom's first time seeing it. So.
But why don't you tell people what you're up to and where they can find you?
You can see me on the newest Movie Trivia Schmodown on the Collider YouTube channel. It was my debut movie trivia match. And you can check out my tea shop on TeePublic at G9 Design.
Awesome.
Yeah, be sure to support her artwork. She puts out topical designs as well as some of our favorite shows.
Thank you guys.
Joe and Ashley, how about you guys?
You can find us on Twitter at various places. I'm at the Spice Must Joe.
And I'm at that _Mrs. Davis.
And we also have our Geek to My Nerd account with underscores between each one. You can find us on YouTube where we're streaming video games and talking MCU stuff a lot. Right now we are streaming Secret of Mana. I just did another Mana Mini today. And yeah, what else? You have articles, right?
Yeah, you can check out my latest over at screenmayhem.com. I reviewed the pilot episode of the new NBC comedy from the creator of Saturday Night Live. He's the executive producer on it. It's called AP Bio, about a AP biology teacher who just does not want to be there and doesn't seem to be real qualified to teach any subject, let alone biology, and just kind of him failing his way through this year in Ohio. Yeah. So it's pretty cute.
I'm interested. I saw a trailer for that. Apparently he's like a philosophy writer or whatever like that. So I'm like, how is he qualified to teach anything but philosophy? Which is
he's barely qualified to teach that.
Yeah,
like how do you argue I'm qualified to
Harvard? So yeah. But yeah, they haven't really gotten into how he's there. But yeah, I think they're really banking on the Harvard professor makes the school look good or something, even though he is just the worst.
Nice.
Yeah, it looks cool. It feels like Community, like how like, you know, he's that's not what he's supposed to be doing, kind of like character. I don't know. I gotta check it out, but I'll listen to your recommendation.
Awesome.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for calling in. We love you all.
Later, guys.
Adios.
I'm glad she was finally able to come in.
I know.
That was almost like old OSP with all the... I believe that Randall is next. He wasn't calling in tonight, right?
Randall, I don't think
No, because he's not feeling well.
Oh, feel better, buddy.
Then Bill would be in?
Bill had to go.
Okay.
Bill said goodnight.
And Bill or Billy?
So Bill.
Okay, so Billy is in.
Billy's next.
Yep. It's going to be Billy, then Eric Monroe, Cal, Jonathan, and Candace. I haven't seen Jonathan in a minute, though. Have you?
I haven't either.
So if
the one time he shows up early.
If you're still here, Jonathan, let us know in the chat so we could just keep track of who's still around. And thank you, everybody, as always, for being here.
See, how come Bill's got it figured out that he can come out anytime he wants?
I have no idea.
I've made everyone moderators.
Because I'm the man. Why else, Tom?
This is the wrong episode to be saying you're the man, dude.
I know. I did not think that through. I should not have said that.
All
shit.
Right. So pass. So question number 1. Janine Devine asked, what performance by a black actor did you find groundbreaking?
Well, obviously Janine in the Schmodown, of course.
No.
My serious answer, Jamie Foxx and Ray. Ray is a biopic about Ray Charles, and if you see like footage of Ray Charles and like interviews and stuff, and then you see Jamie Foxx perform in that movie, he nailed it. Like he nailed the accent, he nailed the way he moves, the way he sings. He was Ray Charles. And like I'm floored every time. And he won the Oscar for that portrayal for a very good reason. And I mean, also Jamie Foxx happens to be an incredibly talented guy. So, I mean, he can sing, he can do all this stuff, but he ended up being, I was astounded when I first saw it. And
yeah, it's a shame because you see Jamie Foxx in movies like this, or like even I love Collateral with him and Tom Cruise. And, and then you see him in like Spider-Man 2, and you're like, oh no, Jamie, what are you doing? But I've watched like dialect coaches talk on YouTube and stuff, saying like how much he must have like studied on Ray Charles's like like mannerisms. I was gonna call it, what do they call them in Westworld? Reveries. Hey, Matt's in the chat. How's it going, Matt? All right. And Matt still hasn't seen Black Panther, buddy. That's all right. A lot of people have not said Black Panther, and I think it's just because we all know that it's the answer to most of these questions.
Yeah, for some of the questions they submitted, they even wrote like other than Black Panther.
But let's get back to it. Question number 2, Bill. Nolan asks, what is the best movie by a black director?
Okay, this is a very tough one because there are a lot of great movies by black directors. But I had to really think about it, and by good, I mean I went towards the dramatic side of good. And I chose Fruitvale Station. Now, this is not an easy watch by any means. This is Ryan Coogler's first film to bring it back to Black Panther. And Michael B. Jordan is fantastic in it. But, yeah, it does deal with race issues and everything, but it is a very powerful film. It feels very personal. But yeah, from the cinematography to the acting to the story, which was a true story, I was really impressed that this was Ryan Coogler's debut, and he already showed how skilled of a director he was and still is. So yeah, I chose Fruitvale Station.
Nice. Awesome. I honestly haven't gotten a chance to see it yet, but
it's a very tough watch.
Between Creed and Black Panther, though, like I want to see what Keegler has to say. Keegler.
He's the Keegler.
Kroger's.
Is that one who does Kegels? Okay, next question. Delisha asked us,
failed Batman villains.
Which genre would you like to see more black roles be expanded?
And she actually took my answer. I was going to say fantasy as well. I was thinking also Wrinkle in Time. I am psyched to see that film. I read the book really fast, or not really fast, but I just read the book recently, and it's a very good book. Ava DuVernay is awesome. And I was also thinking American Gods. I mean, you got a black lead with Shadow, Ricky Whittle. He's awesome.
You need to read the book.
Yeah, if that show was
I know. The Shadow is different in the book, but
because it's not just that. The book has something to say about his race, and American Gods, the show. I was its biggest champion when it was coming out, but anyone who watched the thing, like they were one of those things that tried to be woke, but like,
Yeah,
there's a
like,
part in Black Panther, it's one sentence at the end of the movie spoken by Killmonger that felt more representative of the actual pain of like going from Africa to America on slave ships. And like American Gods had that
The whole
opportunity and had the set and everything, and it was
yeah, Candace was gonna ask, she submitted a question that was asking about like problematic portrayals,
and that was my answer was
we were both gonna complain about Mr. Nancy because we really felt like they dropped the ball a little bit with that portrayal. But yeah,
but the
they were
fact that there are black actors getting these roles, like you can't argue that.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I'm trying to say.
yeah, I got you.
I know I'm getting booed, which
It's just like I'm such a fan of the series that like I had to say something. But I get where you're coming from,
yeah.
though. Of course,
But
of course.
yeah, fantasy. They're usually the wise old mentor, the comic relief,
yeah,
or the token guy. You know,
Yeah.
or the guy that gets or in horror, he's always the guy that gets killed first, usually. And I'm glad that we're breaking those stereotypes.
Yeah, Candace is making me laugh in the chat. She's like, embarrassing, terrible.
Love you too, Candace. And
no, not you, American
portrayal.
Belle.
other Bill. It's confusing. There's two Bills, two Toms, and everything.
Well, no, it's still you, but not about you. We're talking about American Girl.
All right. So you asked us, what was the best film with the black lead? What did you have in mind when you asked the question?
Okay, I was also thinking dramatic side on this, and it was a film that was talked about earlier with Denzel and Angela Bassett, Malcolm X. This is an awesome film. I mean, again, like Jamie Foxx in Ray, Denzel was a great Malcolm X, and it was when it started production, they didn't know who they were going to cast for Malcolm X because, you know, he was such a big figure. And yeah, Denzel just knocked it out of the park. I don't really think anybody else could have played that role. I mean, when you honestly think about it. And I also learned a lot about the man himself, about his ideas, how he grew up, and ultimately his impact in the world. And I think that's a very important thing. And I think that it's just a great biopic. I mean, now we got biopics that are like a dime a dozen out. Like, recently there was one that disappointed me. It was called Race. It was about Jesse Owens, who, if you know anything about him, he is an incredible athlete in the Olympics. Like, he beat all of he was winning for America in Berlin during World War II. And the fact that it was just another paint by the numbers biopic disappointed me. Malcolm X does not do that whatsoever. And again, fantastic performance by Denzel. I think it's Denzel's best movie, honestly. Like, his best performance at the very least.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's a fair thing to say for sure. It's up there. Tom, what was your pick for this question?
My pick for this question is the first black lead in a movie and the first black lead in a horror movie, and that's Dwayne L. Jones in Night of the Living Dead. Yeah. I mean, I don't to say like I don't think we would have anything now if it wasn't for him is kind of like a mute statement because it's taken so long to still get so far, and it's just you can see the nods towards his performance. And then most interesting thing is when the director Romero said multiple times that the character was never written for a black guy, which I find not hard to believe, but the ending of that movie seemed like it was supposed to be topical, and if it was just a white guy who got shot, even though he wasn't a zombie at the end of Night of the Living Dead, I'm going to spoil that one. It's over 50 years old. Like, I don't think it would have an impact, but like, I think because he is black and you kind of see like these guys are human and they're still monsters. You know what I mean? I think that was the statement. But I mean, you see that in Get Out, where you think that that's the way this is going, and it just was such a great role. It was no one. It was. Oh, that was another thing. It was the first movie to have a leading role for a black guy that didn't require it. That was a specification, because of course there was movies before then that had, but like he was never a specific role.
He was cast because he was a good actor, not
and I think
because,
that's so great. Like,
yeah, so I'm gonna go a completely different route than everybody else has. You guys are all saying awesome choices for this, and there's a lot of ways to interpret what you mean by the best. So I'm just gonna pick what my favorite movie with a black lead is, and I'm gonna go with Purple Rain. I love Purple Rain. I would say that it's a guilty pleasure movie, except for that I'm not guilty about it even 1%. That movie is endless entertainment. I've seen it 100 times. No pun intended, but it is the perfect rainy day movie, because there's no way you can watch that and not have the best time watching it. It's so interesting, and the performances are hilarious, and the music's fantastic, and the costuming, and it's deliciously of its time. And I just have immense love for Prince and Morris Day and the Time in that movie, and I love Purple Rain. It's a classic, and that's my choice.
I've never seen Purple Rain, nor have I ever seen Coming to America. I got some work to do.
So I used to work at Blockbuster, and this guy came in one time, and he comes in, puts Purple Rain down, and I don't know if this guy was joking or not, but either way, he seems like some sort of champion. And he's like, "Man, I got my whole weekend planned. I'm just gonna do this big bag of meth and watch Purple Rain all weekend." And I'm like, "Good on you!" Like, okay.
I mean, I appreciate his taste in movies, but I don't know.
He's enhancing the experience in some way, I guess.
At least he's setting his priorities. I guess.
You should watch Purple Rain, though. You should watch Purple Rain, is what I'm saying. It's a good movie.
Yeah, Prince is. He was one of the best.
For sure. You want to let everybody know where they can find you and what you've been up to recently?
You can find me on Twitter at bbusterbill. All the B's are capitalized. I haven't really been doing much. I've been on Stardust a lot. I've been getting a lot of followers there, so that's something I'm very happy about. I've just been doing I've been watching a lot of Steven Universe, and I'm loving it. I hate that Raul is always right when he says that I'm going to be hooked on a show, but I also love it at the same time. But yeah, I'm mostly just doing reactions on Stardust. I'm on Twitter. I'm always supporting people. I love talking to people just about really anything. It doesn't even have to be movie related. And I'm going to be a patron on for this channel. I swear it's going to happen. Probably really soon. So I'm very excited to keep supporting my OSPeeps, and I can't wait to see what the rest of the night brings.
Awesome.
Real quick, Billy, we've been toying around with because I keep seeing people talk about Stardust. You like it? Like, what, you just watch an episode of something and you're like, all right, these are my thoughts on this specific episode? Or
yeah, pretty much. Stardust is an app where cool. It is really cool. You get to, it's whatever you watch, and then you rate it on a scale of 1 to 5 stars, and then you just basically react to it. It could just be a immediate reaction, or you could put some thought into it. It's really whatever you want it to be, and it can be whatever TV or movie.
That's cool.
Or it could just be a trailer. Honestly, it's really cool, and I definitely recommend it to people. I know some people in the OSP family have it. I know Janine has it, and she deserves more followers, honestly.
Sweet, we'll definitely check it out. But thanks for coming by as usual, and we hope to see you soon.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good night, guys.
Bye, buddy.
Later. Next up, we are going to have Eric Monroe, and Mavis is back. So we have Eric Monroe, Cal, Jonathan, and then Candace. I'm Matt on the list too, but I saw that he said he didn't have a microphone to use.
Yeah. Oh man, see, even Eric Monroe has hot takes on Stardust. We should get on that. We watch a lot of TV.
His is the Fury.
Is Fury? I just did something. I didn't mean to.
Did you kill them?
No.
Okay. Oh, you might have hit Google that.
I might have hit Google. So Billy was talking about our Patreon. If you want to check out the different perks and stuff, you can check that out at patreon.com/OddShapeChannel. And like I said, we're doing those fundraiser shirts. You can find the link on our Twitter at OddShapePanel. And here's our good friend, Eric Monroe. Hey, buddy.
Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear and see you.
Do you love me, though?
Oh, I love you, but I'm concerned because the only time I see you in that room is when there's a wasp.
No, the only reason I am in here is because I was in bed watching all this because I was still nursing my shoulder, so I didn't want to sit in the basement.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
That's only.
All right.
That's only reason. No wasp. It's the winter. Don't worry.
Nice.
I was scared.
Let's get right into this. Janine asked us, what performance by a black actor did you find groundbreaking?
I'm going mini-series with this, and I'm going with the mini-series Roots, and I'm going with LeVar Burton as young Kunta Kinte. And I first saw this in 7th grade. They showed it to my class, and it had such an impact on me. It's absolutely amazing. You see his journey from his culture, everything that's happening in Africa, to his capture. There's this scene where they put the chains on him. It is so horrifying, but the thing that really gets me with it is the scenes on the ships, the slave ships. You really, if like thinking about it, makes me emotional. You really get a sense watching this, the horror that they all went through on those ships. It really captures it better than any other film or TV show that I've seen personally. And it does need to be said, his performance isn't the only great one in Roots. There are many wonderful, amazing performances throughout that miniseries, and if you have ever seen it, I highly recommend it because it is an experience you really should definitely have, and it will definitely give you a good understanding of what they went through during that time.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody should definitely watch Roots at some point in their life. And man, like back to American Gods, but I wish they had just 1 ounce of what you feel when you watch Roots with Nancy's story.
We do get the Roots story. It was the relocation or whatever with the Irish guy. That's what I was like.
It to us, like,
it was terrible.
So
it was so terrible. American Gods. I didn't read the books. I mean, I would have watched season 2. I would have tried to stick it out, but
it's not even out yet. I don't even know.
I know.
Problems, yeah.
I know Brian Fuller left or something. I don't even know. But yeah,
he said Neil Gaiman was going to pick up, but he's busy with Good Omens, which I'm excited about.
And I do want to mention they did do a remake of Roots a couple years ago, and much to my surprise, it was pretty good.
Oh wow! Matt in the chat wanted to shout out Amistad, which hasn't been mentioned.
Yes, that is a good one.
Yes. I'm probably just going to say his answers for him because he's having technical stuff tonight.
That's a great one.
So Nolan at NolanDean27 asked, what is the best movie by a black director?
It's been talked about. I have to go with it because I love it so much. I have to go with Get Out. I mean, it is on HBO. It's on HBO a lot. And when I'm flipping through the channels, it doesn't matter what part of the movie it's on. I always end up watching it because it's just so damn good, from the acting, the concept, what it says, the look of it, everything about it. It's just amazing. And it's funny because the scene that always gets me, gets me a lot, is the scene when she's looking for her next victim. She's on the dating website, has the headphones in, and she's just eating Fruit Loops, and she's just so chill about the whole thing. It's just a very, very, it's a good flick. That is a good flick, and I agree with what everyone has said about it.
I like how she's so desensitized to the whole thing happening right outside. Yeah, it says a lot.
And I always felt bad when they get him, and she's like, "You were one of my favorites."
Yeah,
it's just such a good film. Can't praise that film enough.
For sure.
So,
Delisha asked us at Delisha_Renee, what genre would you like to see more black roles be expanded?
Yeah, when I first heard this question, the first thing that came up in my head, it really was fantasy. I mean, Game of Thrones has black characters, Grey Worm, Sande, Sandor, the pirate who Davos enlisted to help Stannis' cause. But I would like to see stuff like The Neverending Story with a black lead and all those kind of movies. I think that, A Wrinkle in Time, I'm so stoked for that. And I think hopefully in the future we will see stuff like The Neverending Story and Willows and all those great films with a black lead.
Yeah, because even Game of Thrones is guilty of like the same trope. Like, okay, this black dude's a slave, and this one's a hooker, and this guy's a thief.
I can
Pirates,
see
all that stuff.
Be very empowering though. Like but like that's one character out of everybody,
and
like
he's still a slave.
Yeah,
just say.
He kind of is.
Gets freed, but
I guess it's like Stockholm syndrome because he's still there. I don't know. I just think he loves him.
Just saying.
Yeah, but anyway, I have to go with fantasy. Echo what Billy said.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Definitely.
Fantasy.
Billy asked us, what is the best film with a black lead?
I have to go. I'm a big Morgan Freeman fan. I love that man, and I have to go with The Shawshank Redemption. Regarded by many as like one of the best films of all time. And it's amazing because it didn't do well at the box office at all, but it's regarded by many to be one of the best of all time. And I agree with that. It's absolutely amazing. I think Morgan Freeman is absolutely amazing in everything he does, even when he just does voiceovers and commercials. He's just, for me, he's on just another level. And that movie is one of those movies. It's very long, when I can watch it over and over and over, and it's just as effective because it's so damn good. So I would say, The Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, it's hard to say Shawshank and not think of another. I think they're both Stephen King, right? Green Mile. Oh my God, such a good movie.
Oh, that is another one. It is amazing.
Yeah, I'm surprised that's actually the first time we're hearing these movies discussed tonight because they were so great. Yeah,
there's a lot of good movies.
I think Michael Clark Duncan passed away.
He did.
A couple years ago. I remember hearing that on the news. That's sad, but he was great. That was a fantastic film too.
And I mean, before Vincent D'Onofrio, I had no problem with his portrayal of Kingpin. I thought that was the best part of the Daredevil movie. Like everything else, I didn't really care about. But like, he was a believable Kingpin. Like
I thought it was fine. That wasn't a good movie though, but he was fine.
That's all the questions for tonight. You want to let everybody know where they can find you, what you've been working on?
I haven't really been working on anything. Kind of like with Billy, just been kind of show lately. But you can always find me on Twitter at mmkoch. That is Koch200, and you can let me know everything you think about anything. I like to talk about all this stuff, and it's always great seeing you guys. Love you both. I can't wait to see everybody else's answers.
Absolutely, buddy. You have a good night.
Thanks, man.
Watch out for the wasp.
Eject.
I hit it, Jack. What's going on?
Oh, wow. It loves me.
Let him go.
Eric's funny.
All right,
we're going to have Cal up next.
Wrong, because he's on the Kingslayer Network. He's not on that. Wait.
Just try that.
Is that him? No, because that's Nice Watch logo. He's got this logo going on. It's Kingslayer Network.
What's going on with the chat?
Chat is chatting it up. Chatting.
Oh, he said Sandor. It's Salador San is the name of that character, the pirate.
And Matt's also shouting out Tyler Perry. Oh, that did work. Weird.
Yeah. It's Cal. He knows what he's doing.
Hello.
Well, it's a different logo. Hi, Cal.
What's going on?
Not much, man. How's it going?
I'm okay.
You're very quiet.
Yeah, you're very quiet.
Because usually I'm loud, so you gotta turn me down. So.
No, you're good.
You're good now. All right.
Let's get into it. Janine asked us, what performance by a black actor did you find groundbreaking?
I would have to go with Michael Jordan. Wait, that's not right. Michael B. Jordan as the human. No, wait, that's still not right. Michael B. Jordan as Eric Killmonger, because that was fantastic role, and no pun on Fantastic Four, but I sympathize. Oh my God, he was so heartbreaking, so touching, everything he did, and you don't see, there's very few villains that you
Careful on
sympathize
spoilers,
with.
though, real quick. Sorry to interrupt, but there are. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, there's very few villains you sympathize with, especially in Marvel. Like Loki's one that everyone loves, but seeing it, especially the social things behind a Black Panther and all that, and just his role, it's just I don't want to give anything away, but it's just he touched me so much, and I loved it. You saw I changed my logo to him on Twitter, right away. After I saw him, he was just great. I loved him, and he's a great actor. He just, a lot of people see him in the mainstream, probably see them in Fantastic Four, which is not doesn't do him justice as an actor. Obviously he was in Creed and all that other stuff in Fruitvale Station, like Billy said. Just give him a chance. He's great.
Yeah, so you said he touched you. I think a lot of the female fans out in the audience wish that he'd touch them.
Oh, that's what I meant. He actually really did touch me one time. No, I'm kidding. I wish.
Candace says in the chat that he's really sexy, and man, he sure is. He sure is. And the whole cast.
Nipples, but
no, I like the
no, it looks cool. It looks cool.
I think that is.
Yeah,
sexy.
I mean, I like what it stood for. What the scars stood for. That was awesome. But the whole thing with him putting on the mask thing was really cool. That scene in the museum with him. He's I just think it's dope. And then he uses it later. That was awesome.
How cool is it that his armor is Vegeta's armor? Did you see that?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want. Yeah, he's just amazing. I'm so nervous to give because I think Matt came in, right? He said he hasn't seen it yet, so I don't want to say anything. But oh my God, there's so many things about it, and I know we didn't really talk about it, you and I, about what happened, but there's things about how I feel at how the movie, I don't know, I can't even say anything because. How about the shirt though that Janine designed? That's how about that?
Nice. So question number 2 comes to us from Nolan Dean, and he asks, "What is the best movie by a Black director?"
So I want to preface this by saying that my number 2 and number 4, it could be interchangeable. I wanted to choose number 2, this one answer for both of them, but I'm let me switch it up for number 4. So this one I'm gonna go with. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I think it's Antoine Fuqua for Training Day, because Training Day is one of my favorite movies of all time, and that was just a great movie. Denzel, you can't say enough about Denzel. He's one of the best actors ever, and his role, I think he won the Oscar right for that. And I think that year was the first time 2 African Americans have won an Oscar at the same time, for best lead male and lead female, because Halle Berry won it for Monster Ball, I think.
Wow, nice.
I think, I'm not sure. People can fact check me on that, but I think that. And I don't know if Antoine Fuqua won for Training Day, but he should have. I think maybe Crash or something might have won. Who knows? I have no idea what these movies.
I think it was Crash.
Yeah. So, but Training Day and Antoine Fuqua that was great. I love that movie. I could watch it every time it's on. I watch it. I know the lines, all that stuff. It's so great.
Awesome.
I don't like that they made a show out of it or whatever they did, but I want to watch a show because I stay true to Denzel and Ethan Hawke because that's where it's at.
Yeah, those are usually never good anyway. Maybe it is. Who knows? Delisha asked us, which genre would you like to see more Black roles be expanded?
Yeah, I always agree with the Game of Thrones fantasy, but I want to say sci-fi and see a scientist. A Black scientist would be great to see. Being in science and all that. I think the one time I did see it, I mean, there probably is a plenty you guys can call me out on, but I think the one time I do remember vividly is Will Smith's character in I Am Legend. Yeah, I don't think he's really a scientist, but he did science to figure out what was going on, and that I really liked that movie. I know people might not have liked it, but I enjoyed it, and I think just a Black guy in science would be awesome, a scientist, a true scientist that, because you guys say they're a lot of people have been saying that they're always the buddy role, or the one that's killed off first. So I think to me, a science would matter a lot. So.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I Am Legend is a remake of a Vincent Price movie called Last Man on Earth, and they did recast the lead role to Will Smith, which was Vincent Price's role. So they did something completely different there.
I had no problem with that. I had the problem with them recasting the monsters. That was the weirdest choice.
Yeah.
Because in the original Vincent Price, they're intelligent, talking people, instead of just whatever that was.
Well,
but still,
they did learn, right, in the movie?
Yeah,
open that up and
Well, I have no
Something
problem with Will
different.
Smith.
He likes I Am Legend. Don't ruin it for him.
Not ruining it.
One more question. Billy asked us, "What's the best film with a black lead?"
Like I would say, like Train Day could go here, but like I want to switch it up a little bit, and I want to say, He Got Game, because I wanted like when I was entering the chat, like there's a lot of like sports movies with like race relations and stuff that really mean a lot. They were so great. The message is great and all that. Like I want to. If haven't, I know you guys, a lot of people on here aren't into sports movies or sports, but you should really check out Glory Road. It's a Disney movie, with Josh Lucas. I think his name is. I'm not sure the actor's name is, but it's a true story based on the Texas Miners basketball team, college. I liked it a lot. It's good. And that's an unknown team where they go to the finals against Kentucky, which is predominantly white with a racist coach, Adolph Rupp, with the name Adolph. But it's a true story, completely true. And he plays all blacks the whole game to show them that, they are just as good as anybody else. There's nothing wrong, because back then they thought whites were the superior sports and everything. So the fact that he did that, and he had seniors on the team that were white that really wanted to play, but they couldn't. And that was just a great scene, a movie. What's going on? Cusco? Yeah, Cusco's talking about it. Thank you, Cusco, for the backup. That's one leg in the chat. What's going on? Yeah, so that movie is so good. But yeah, so He Got Game is a sports movie with Ray Allen and Denzel Washington, directed by Spike Lee, and that's a great movie about the life of Ray Allen. It's supposed to be about Stephon Marbury, the basketball player from Coney Island, kind of reflective of his life. But Ray Allen plays the lead, and that's the first time Ray Allen really acted, and as a basketball player, he did a great job acting too. So, and Denzel's in it, so you can't go wrong with Denzel, and Mila Jovovich, who I love too.
My least favorite sports movie with a black lead is that Othello basketball movie. I remember watching, I think, Lawrence Fishburne in the original Othello, just a depiction of how it went down. Still one of my favorite stories in Shakespeare. So there's a throwback for a lead.
I guess that's what the what's his Mekhi Phifer, is it? Or is it Omar Epps? I'm not sure.
I don't remember. Let's see. I'm just checking out in the chat here.
Candace is saying that the O movie is so offensive. I think that's what she's talking about.
Yeah, but all right. And your number 4 answer was your number 2 answer, right?
Well, no, my 4 was He Got Game, because I didn't want to use it.
And the other one.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I know you've been doing some hunting lately. You want to tell everybody about that?
Yeah, actually, more importantly, I want to. Janine's done so much for us, and the shirt is amazing. Check out all her shirts. She was on the Schmodown, but even more than that, one of our friends, or my friend, her mom is suffering, from multiple sclerosis. So she does have a GoFundMe going on. It's on my Twitter at @VirnJavu, or my Discord. So please check that out. I know Megan already donated, so thank you, Megan. And just now, I just found out my friend is being hospitalized. She's the one who's holding the GoFundMe, so she just got put into the hospital right while I'm here. So so if you want to know about that, just please please spread the word, retweet it, and all that. And that's about pretty much all I want to say about it. That's it.
All right. Well, I'm not going to penalize you for using your plug time for a good cause. So be sure to check out Cal's channel. Regardless, it's the Kingslaying Network. You'll find it in our featured channels. But thank you so much, Cal, for joining us, and definitely check out his Twitter if you
I won't
want to
do
spread
my
the word and find out more information.
I'll just do my Black Panther.
Oh, Wakanda forever. Bye, buddy. See you in 25 years.
Dude, Okoye forever. I'm so in love.
Well, instead of doing he did this.
Nice.
All right, so next we have Jonathan.
I heard he is getting ready, so.
So I'm ready for you now if you got your email handy. All right, what's going on this week? So today is Monday. Tomorrow is Tuesday. Usually Tuesday is Down Pilot Podcast. I'm gonna try to get out tomorrow night. Probably have out the episode of TV Three-Way that has Ashley on it. That would be, what were the shows on that one? Kimber?
Which one?
Ashley's?
On Ashley's, it was, man, I just did one yesterday, so it's gonna mess with me. Oh my gosh. It was Riverdale, because Riverdale, and then Toast of London.
Yeah.
And oh man, I'm gonna blank out on what Ashley picked.
Well, I'm sure Ashley will fill us in. But yeah, I'll have that out and on Tuesday, and that's usually every other Monday, but I missed a week. And then Wednesday, hopefully, I'll have out Space Time Rewind with Nolan and Kimber. They're talking the top
12th
Doctor moments. And then I have TJ has another from Code to Script talking Double Dragon, and me and Randall. I know people are already asking us to do another one of the. We're playing Pokemon on. There's an MMO version of it called Pokemon Revolution Online. I think Joe's playing it, and we actually started watching Steven Universe. Candace, who's our favorite? Who's the combination? Opal.
I think it is Opal that.
I just want to see a giant woman.
Okay, Jonathan's ready for that link.
But yeah, so a bunch of stuff to go through. Oh yeah, so we'll be playing Pokemon, and then we'll also be playing Double Dragon at some point. Hopefully Randall will be feeling better. And then at some point, I'll be testing out...
Giant woman, she says in the chat. That character design is gorgeous.
Yeah, for sure.
Ooh, he's trying to call you.
How does this happen every time? Hold on. Turn off my phone so that doesn't happen again. Did we ever finish Game of Thrones? No, our computer wouldn't record it. If at some time in the future I can get that on the PS4 for cheap, we'll try to pick up where we left off. But it just the recording quality wasn't worth it. That's what happens with most of the games that we stopped playing. It's just that the recording qualities, and then like I can't. I'm hoping now that we have the PS4, I can do that. I just like I want to test it with Star Wars Battlefront tomorrow morning, probably while Kimber's still sleeping. But I don't have a mic, so it might just be me goofing around on there. So yeah, Jonathan, I'm gonna try another link for you. I don't know why that was calling my personal phone.
His own personal phone. Candace's excited because she wants to talk about Steven Universe with us at some point.
I wanna do an animation roundtable podcast with me, you, Jason, and Candace.
I would love that.
And then we just pick an animated show and an animated movie. We talk about it that episode. It could be monthly.
Okay, so Moana and Steven Universe.
There you go. That's episode 1. Doesn't that sound like a fun episode?
Best episode. Did you send that, or is that?
I sent 2 different links.
I don't understand how some people don't like Moana. It hurts my feelings. It makes me sad.
Make way, make way.
She's down. Look at that. You let us know when. I think your schedule is much busier than ours, so we will work around when you guys are free.
We just need a clever name.
Candace is clever.
Has to do with animation, but it's a discussion.
Discussimation. No, that's not.
You're trying too hard. The
animation conversation.
Too many elements.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Did you try sending him a link in the chat?
I have. Gundam Wing and Aladdin.
I would also really love if Candace has time. I know she said she wanted to watch the movie again, but for her to do a Black Panther review for this channel. I'm sure everybody would love to watch that.
I would love to hear Claw's mixtape. They're in the chat.
He says I'm still waiting.
Click on the links in the chat. Or send me your email.
Mine says off air. If you give us your email, we can try to send you one that way. Because we are not off air.
We are very much on air. We need it to breathe.
Air today.
Hair today, gone tomorrow.
Oh, she said the Buffy show is still happening. She wants to do that.
Buffy villain top 10 list. 10. Caleb. 9.
Another guy.
No. Felicity. 4. Drew.
4.
Oh, wait. Did I just go from 9 to 4?
You did.
Well, Drew's still number 4. 3. The Master. 2. The Principal.
You want to delete
Isn't
that?
he the worst villain? And number 1 on the worst Buffy villains
Is me.
No.
Because I don't watch the show.
It's the robot that Joy states.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey, what's
You
up?
have that on.
I have mixed feelings about Glory. We'll get there.
You might want to turn him up. He's a little low.
Do 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 do. Turn it up. Turn it up.
All right.
I'm trying. All right. Hey, John. How's it going?
Very good. Very good.
We can barely hear you.
All right. Can you move your mic closer by any chance? We can barely hear you.
You can hear me very well, right?
It's still pretty low.
All right. Hold on. Give me a second.
Da 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 da. Dun dun dun. Let's see. No, we can barely hear you. Am I wrong, chat?
Hold on. Give me a moment. Give me a second.
Technical difficulties.
Ba, 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 ba.
Killing some time
Ba,
while
ba,
he
ba,
does
ba,
a
ba, ba,
thing.
ba. Ba, 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 ba,
All
ba,
right.
ba, ba.
All right. Can you hear me right now?
Yes.
Much better.
Hear me right now, right?
Yes.
Yep. All right.
Nice.
Now that we can hear you, hello, welcome. Thanks for waiting. And question number 1 is from Janine the Machine, or the Bean, depends who you ask. She asked, what performance by a black actor did you find groundbreaking?
Well, there's a lot to choose from. Some
Microphone.
obvious ones, but
Microphone.
Oh, sorry. Well, there are a lot of choices I can choose from. Some obvious ones, but the one person for me, it really shows that really is sort of groundbreaking. Is I keep forgetting her name, but she's from Gone with the Wind, in my opinion.
Okay. Why do you think it was groundbreaking?
I think it was groundbreaking at the time in the 1930s, though. Like, even you doing the movie about what happened during the war is far enough what happened, but giving such recognition at the time when it's probably released, that's for me, it's groundbreaking, and also the performances.
Okay.
Yeah, you're hard to hear still. You got to speak up because people in the chat are commenting on how they can't hear you.
Okay,
But,
sorry about that.
His choice is from Gone with the Wait.
Gone with the
Yeah,
Wind.
Gone with the Wind, but the name escapes him right now. But for the 30s, that was an important role, from what I understand.
Yes.
Okay. Question number 2.
Candace says Hattie McDaniel is the name of the
Oh,
actress.
Perry
Nice.
McDaniel. Yeah, thank you. I got it now. I got it for a couple of minutes before I kind of lost it, but thank you.
Nolan Dean asks, what is the best movie by a black director?
Well, my pick is a little hard to choose from. Like, it's sort of split between two, though. One of them is sort of the drama, and the other one's a comedy for me. And I had to sort of stick with the director hasn't been mentioned yet, but I'm gonna stick with the comedy realm in the mid '90s, though. I'm picking F. Gary Gray, who directed Friday as my choice. The reason why I picked that because if you watch Friday right now, it sort of resonates today, even where we talked about in the humor, the memes like the hut and Felicia like that, and also the sort of like the back and forth between Ice Cube and Chris Tucker around here. I think they did a great job by understanding what is going on throughout the 90s right here, and kind of resonates today. Even the humor still holds up very much.
Yeah, I completely agree.
For sure. Yeah, that's a hilarious movie.
Yeah.
Bye, Felicia. Dell says, nice.
Speaking of Dell, she asked our third question. Delisha asked, which genre would you like to see more black roles expanded?
I had to legit think about it, but most of people pick fantasy right here. But I also pick fantasy, but for a different reason. The reason why I pick fantasy though is to look behind the lens of it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, with A Wrinkle in Time coming up, which I'm very excited about, I hope it really opens the door of black filmmakers tackle the fantasy genre. You know what I mean? We need to sort of like have a little feel of a little bit in the fantasy realm from the different perspective. Like, kind of like, what you imagine, like someone in the world of Middle Earth, but a different point of view of it. Like, can you imagine, like, when you look at it around here, that really shows you the different groups and ethnicities in a way of it right here, but not the way it felt a little hammy or forced though. It just felt like organic. It felt natural.
Yeah, I like that you're not just excited for more roles in different genres, but more like crew, like different directors being involved in new genres and stuff like that. That's interesting. I like that take.
Thank you.
All right, last one. Bill asked us, what is the best film with a black lead?
I'm also gonna pick another sort of obvious artist out there. It's been mentioned once before, but I just want to mention him again for a different film. I also pick Eddie Murphy from Beverly Hills Cop. That's the reason why I picked that, because we already know that Eddie Murphy can launch a movie before that, even with 48 Hours and Trading Places. But Beverly Hills Cop, for him, it just really launched in not only superstardom, but international acclaim of it, with the humor, the timing, and the wit when he plays with Axel Foley, though. And rarely times, sometimes you're trying to balance it around over here, though.
All right, man. Yeah, no, I agree. Eddie Murphy definitely has come up a couple of times. He definitely had a like, I was thinking about Golden Child earlier. Like, he did so many projects in like the 80s and 90s.
As a matter of fact, I did watch Golden Child for the first time ever, and I can tell it personally did not age well if I watch it, because
No, not at all. But I like it.
Look! I watch it fully myself. If you take some of the humor of it, it's kind of dry. It's kind of boring when you watch it. I'm sorry. So people, Golden Child fans, I'm sorry. It just kind of
Fair enough.
Yeah, it kind of felt.
Why don't you let him find you, and if you've been working on anything?
I'm not working anything very major lately, but you can find me around social media, around Twitter, on Instagram at jpad1098, around the social media. So, thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night, John. Thanks for waiting.
See you soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. I'm trying to eject, but I think's doing it. All right.
Candace is going to be next.
Yeah. My buddy.
That's my buddy.
Fine, you can have it.
I've been.
But I get that sliced fried gold. I think I need her. Oh,
No,
wow, look at that. The one person I have. Goodness, it's meant to be. It's meant to be. Guys, if you aren't watching Atlanta yet, watch Atlanta. Cal, watch Atlanta. It's so Twin Peaksy. Like, Riverdale tries. I didn't even watch it, but I guess Riverdale tries to be Twin Peaky. Which is more
I don't want to
successful.
spoil it, because we talk about that a lot on the episode coming out of TV Three-Way. But yeah, it's not as successful as Atlanta. Atlanta's amazing. And we do talk about Atlanta on the episode I just recorded with Janine for TV Three-Way, also coming out soon.
And another connection, it was bothering us because there's one character who I really like that hangs out with Paperboy and Earn on Atlanta.
Yeah, we talk about this all on TV Three-Way.
What, about Andre?
Yeah.
Oh, well, man. I wasn't in on the conversation, so I don't know. I guess I won't talk about it there. Life is Strange is kind of Twin Peaksy, for sure. It's more like a YA Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed watching the story.
So yeah, we're just waiting for Candace to get in here, and I think she's going to be the last caller tonight.
Unless somebody pops up at the last minute. If you're just watching and you were like, hey, I got some things to say, come on in. Let us know. That'd be, yeah. They should just turn Animal Kingdom into Wakanda. I guess a part of Animal Kingdom into Wakanda, like the rhino enclosure.
I think Cal's trying to say that that Life is Strange takes place in Twin Peaks because the license plate said that, but I think that most of that stuff is just Easter eggs, probably because the people who created the game are fans of Twin Peaks.
If it said maybe if it was like a plate around it that said I fuel up at Rolling R Diner or whatever, then maybe I would. But yeah, I mean, Trophy Scars has a song with Firewalk with Me in it. Doesn't mean it's part
I
of the
think he's
universe.
just trying to say that it's.
Cal likes to connect everything now, so I just want.
He's got one of those boards with all the yarn and shit.
It's a false wall.
I love how I adjust the picture, but it doesn't matter because I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, but this entire room is slanted. It's like that How I Met Your Mother. Yeah. And yeah, we were talking about Atlanta with Donald Glover, which is an excellent show. Do you want to try to send her the link? I don't know if she...
Sure. For Candace, I'll try anything.
Yeah, Atlanta is a really good show. I just watched it recently because Janine chose it for TV Three-Way, and we binged the entire thing, and it was fantastic.
10 episodes, but still good, healthy binge session. It's not like Supernatural.
And the new season is about to start too on the 1st. Yeah, Eric's talking about Walking Dead. I can't really believe that people are still watching Walking Dead. That surprises me.
Stop caring after Herschel.
And good night, Del. Feel better.
Night, Del.
I don't know if Candace is having trouble.
You know what we're doing after this?
Eating some nugs.
Nugs.
Eating some nuggets.
Getting some nugs. Not you, Mavis.
Aw. Del's bummed because she wanted to stay up to see what Candace had to say, but you could always check back in tomorrow and watch the parts that you missed when you're not feeling so loopy from the meds.
No, you're not allowed.
Of course she is. Cal had nacho fries again today. They are the most addictive fries I've ever had in my life, those damn nacho fries. I could eat them right now.
We went to KFC and we're like, where's our cheese?
Matt had some McNuggets for dinner. That's what we're going to be doing. That's pretty much all that's open this late at night over here. Yeah, I want to like that fry box, but I don't know what they did with the Cheesy Gordita Crunch shell. It's not the same as it used to be, and we keep getting bad luck.
Stale or
yeah.
like plastic.
And Matt doesn't like the nacho fries. That hurts my feelings. If you have some nacho fries you don't want to eat, you can bring them over here. I'll eat all the nacho fries.
She'll do it too. I've seen it. It's in international waters, so she can be prosecuted.
I don't know where Candace went.
She may have restarted something.
I am feeling mad awkward sitting here by myself, waiting for
You're
Candace to come on.
I'm enjoying it. So, what do we have planned for March? The next OSP will be a OSP and chill,
Yes.
hanging out.
And I don't know, my brain is so fried
Yeah,
from
I
the
don't know.
move, and that's what my plans are next month, tattooing a lot and saving up some money and finding a place to live and all that happy stuff.
Don't forget, you can get limited edition shirts to help fund our move over at our Twitter at OddShape Panel.
It's true.
It has Mavis on it.
And Matt, if you can make nacho fries, you're holding out on me.
Make us some nacho
I want
fries.
homemade nacho fries.
Bring it over. Pick up your copy of The Fly.
Yeah, we're definitely not going to be able to get out to Wizard World this year, or probably the next with the wedding and stuff. We're moving in May, so that's
We're
absolutely
aiming at
not.
Wizard World 2025.
Yeah. Matt, if you're asking about a tattoo, unfortunately, I don't have any Saturdays left before I move, and I don't work on Sundays. I only have some weekdays left, and that's in April, or my soonest availability. I'm almost completely booked before I move, so let me know if you could possibly do a weekday. And let me know as soon as possible, because I really only have a few slots left. But that's boring work stuff. Sorry, audience. You definitely can't make it in our kitchen.
You can't turn around in our kitchen.
Yeah. One burner works. The oven doesn't work. Where's Candace? What's going on here?
I don't know.
We can't wait too long.
I think she's gone. She got out.
I need to check my... I'm going to send her a message or something to see. Because I really wanted to talk to her.
Oh, this is the nap time portion. Oh, wow, that's a real one. Who's got Battlefront? He wants to be my friend. 1920s Tom. Well, he hasn't been here since the Zeppelin crash. 1923. I don't even know what that was, but I'm
That's the
scared.
Zeppelin crash of
Oh, God.
1923.
Charlie was everywhere. What was that?
We'll figure it out later.
Tell us in the chat what almost killed me. Battlefront 2 with the Star Wars. Again, I'm on PS4 now. You can add me at OddShape Plays and expect more Let's Plays that don't look like crap. OddShape Plays on the PlayStation Network. OddShape Plays. I don't know how I'm going to get Randall in on that, though. I have to figure out how I can broadcast a second voice. Well, he's on PS. I don't know. I have all these resources to contact. Cal, Joe, Ashley, Franklin. I don't know Franklin.
You want to try to send her another invite just in case?
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with her, but unfortunately she's the last caller, so we're stuck either waiting or giving up on her. And maybe it was your phone that fell back there.
It was my phone. Yay. Yeah, I'm hoping I'm hoping she just restarted her computer too real quick. So Hope everyone had a good February. Everyone's 2018 is going swimmingly. Yeah. Thanks, Eric. And then their voices added into the stream. That's cool. Nice. So that means I could play with Cal, or I can play with... Oh, that's so cool. I'm excited. Yeah, I just think when the few times that I've watched you and Randall play, Cal, because they put in work. They're usually daily, at least it seems like. I think that you guys are both into it so much that I don't hear Randall talking. I was an Xbox player, but like, I don't know. Didn't he kill all the gods already? Going after Techno Boy? Technology guy? I'm gonna get some nuggets. Gonna be good. Anything?
I haven't heard from her, no.
Oh yeah, I did hear it's Norse gods now. That is pretty cool. I mean, if they just keep going, it'd be interesting. Yeah, as a kid and stuff, right? Well, I think we're gonna give it 2 more minutes. On the 11:30 mark, we'll head out. You guys know Easter is on April Fool's? I feel like it'd be more appropriate. Like, imagine, like, for anyone who knows the Easter myth, Jesus rose on Sunday, right? But what if that was a whole prank? What if, like, they rolled back the stone, he was gone, and then he was wearing, like, a trucker hat, like an Ashton Kutcher trucker hat, and he's like, you just got biblically pranked. I don't know. But I did manage to ramble long enough to get Candace in here.
Hi. Sorry.
Hey, buddy.
That took
No
a really
problem. I don't see you, but I hear you.
Yeah, I'm just doing voiceover tonight, if that's okay.
It's fine. It's a lovely picture.
Thank you. I changed it to my Black Panther picture for you guys.
Look how pretty she is.
That's my baby.
I was talking about you.
Oh, thank you.
Alrighty. So I'll give you the questions.
Yes. Okay, so Janine asked us, what performance by a Black actor did you find groundbreaking?
So Janine extra stole my answer, as I think she usually does. Great minds and all. But for me, my answer is definitely my initial answer is The Color Purple. It was just kind of this revelation for me, I think, as a kid. Like, and it's not just like Whoopi Goldberg did a great job for sure, and her character, like, showing the psychological abuse and the physical abuse that African American women were subjected to for many years, arguably still today. I think is extremely powerful, especially because it's not something that people kind of often speak about so nakedly. I think it's part of like what makes Get Out so interesting, is because it kind of gives you this very unique perspective we're not used to seeing. But what really changed things for me was the fact that, so like Oprah Winfrey's character is also this like incredible powerhouse who is brilliant and like savvy and like kind of like, I don't know, she's like hardcore and she's opinionated and she like stands up to her husband and she's like, listen, you know what, to the point where like they're almost like, oh, she's domineering, but you know, she's like, listen, like, I'm a woman and I work and I take care of my family and like I do all of these things and I don't deserve you beating on me. Like, how dare you? Like, she questions Whoopi Goldberg in the film. I don't know if you guys have, you know, are super familiar with it, but Celie is so used to being, you know, dismissed and beaten and abused that like she tells Harpo, Oprah Winfrey's husband, that he needs to like knock her around to like make her respect him. And like her reaction is like so next level. She's just like, fuck you. Like, you have no right to beat me. Like, just because your shit's not working out and you don't have a job and like you're not taking care of your business, like doesn't mean that you can just come home and like smack me up. Like, I'm doing what I need to do for this family, so you can go fuck yourself. Like, her stance is just so powerful. And then like you see them in the future, like they take you, you know, down the road of this incredible story. And you see her with her like in the future, and she's like this powerful and like still just this very important person who like has made herself exactly who she wants to be within the confines of like her surroundings and her environment. I don't know, just very powerful. And then plus like Black lesbianism, like a discussion of that in a movie before 1990, like blew my mind as well. Like that's way before its time.
Yeah, for sure. Ooh, we hear a lot. Nolan asked us, what is the best movie from a Black director?
No one, I don't think anyone has said this. But I'm gonna go ahead and choose Eve's Bayou. I don't know how many of you guys have seen that movie. It's kind of like a slow burning indie flick. So it's set in the South, and I want to say during the Civil Rights time, probably like in the 1950s. It's set in Louisiana, and it stars Journey Smollett opposite Samuel L. Jackson. Early Megan Good is also in that movie. So the movie is basically about this little girl who sees something that she's not supposed to see. Like, her father is in the throes of passion with someone who's not his wife. And the whole story is like the movie begins by her saying, you know, the summer that I think she's 10 or 12 or something. The summer that I turned 12, I killed my father. And like, it's this extremely powerful story about like, kind of exploring this like similar themes to Pan's Labyrinth, oddly, like of how children understand and process reality when it's very harsh, like when it's like slapped you in your face. So it's kind of like this like slice of life / magical realism story. Like there's some things in it that happen that, you know, have to do with like, you know, like Bayou culture and, you know, voodoo and things like that. But like it's really like this really intimate and astute portrayal of like Black girlhood, especially at that time. And I also find like the portrayals of the women, like Lynn Whitfield plays the wife of Samuel L. Jackson, and Debbie Morgan is her sister, and Debbie Morgan is this like lifelong spinster character who's kind of like, you know, this like free bohemian type, you know what I mean? Even though it's like the 1950s, 1960s, that was like, you know, you were hard pressed to find anybody that was really like that, I think, in many Black communities. But that's kind of the space that she occupies. She has like, you know, this lover that she meets, and she has a fling with him, and that juxtaposed against like the harsh reality that this little girl has to deal with, and the realization of like who her father is like an actual man versus who he is in her head. And like it's all about kind of like the breaking and like remaking of innocence. I don't know, excellent film, very much a slow burn. Cinematography is beautiful, acting is excellent. You know how I feel about Samuel L. Jackson. I'm very 50-50 on him, but that's a good one for me.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard of that movie. It sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Definitely try to check it out if you have a chance. It might be on Netflix. I'm not sure. Okay. I own a copy, but it might be on Netflix. Very, very good.
And what was it called one more time?
Eve's Bayou.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try to check that out. That sounds good.
Yeah, I believe the director is Cassie Lemons. Very, very good movie.
When life gives you Cassie Lemons.
You make Eve's Bayou lemonade.
Delisha asked us, what genre would you like to see more Black roles expanded?
So, of course, everyone has already said fantasy, and that's fine. This is one of the answers that like I have that everyone else has, that instead of being upset, I'm just going to choose to like know that like it's the #1 answer of the night for a very good reason. Seeing Thor Ragnarok and having Valkyrie just be a Black girl just for no reason, and having like Heimdall be a Black guy just for no reason, like blew my mind. Like really, like I was watching it, and like Thor 1 for me is whatever. Thor 1 for me is aggressively okay. Like, it's just not awesome. But Thor 2 is like a hard fantasy film, and like I appreciated their attention to detail. I love the costuming. I loved all of it. And then like that taking that a little bit further with Taika Waititi's portrayal of Ragnarok, making it still this like fantasy, but like this technicolor, like dreamscape, like, you know, fucking electric rock star fantasy, was awesome. And to see her play like such a badass character, like that's all I want for diversity in cinema, is like when you can put a black person or an Asian person or a Hispanic person or an Indian person in a role because there's no race assigned to the character. Like, just think about it, man. Just consider it, you know, like there's no reason not to. So it was awesome to see her also as like a love interest for him as well. Like a potential love interest for him was pretty awesome.
Well, what I thought was interesting was because, like, when you look at the comic book versions of Valkyrie, she's that Brumhilde, that blonde or whatever, but you see her die. Spoiler or whatever. You see her die in the war scene, and like she's the last of Valkyrie, right? But it almost felt like they had a thing going on, the blonde. So it kind of felt like a passing of a torch, kind of like.
Yeah, and she was awesome. I loved that character all around anyway, because she was like a drunk and a badass. Like, she wasn't the stereotypical character you would expect to see in a movie like that. And Taika, like, he's amazing. He knocked it out of the park, and I loved every bit of her performance too.
Yeah, I completely agree. And like seeing even like, I mean, I agree with you, Tom. I think that it is like a passing of the torch, and you know, there are some people who have a lot of like strong criticism for the way that Marvel and DC are trying to kind of mix up their universes by attempting to reassign, you know, genders or reassign racial identities or ethnicities to their characters. And like they're like, oh, you should just make new ones, and you should just, you know, instead of having an Asian Superman, just have a new Asian superhero. And it's like, yeah, you can do that, but like we're talking about legacies. We're talking about things that have been in pop culture history for, you know, I mean, honestly, at this point, damn near a century compared to like where we started. So it's like, you know, breaking into that as a brand new character, as a brand new superhero. I mean, like even Black Panther, you know, I mean, I've heard a couple of people that I guess like don't know, you know, they're like, oh, this new superhero is getting all this attention. And I'm like, he's not a new superhero. He's about as old as the X-Men. You know what I mean? Like, he's been around, like, and, you know, I think that that it's something that a lot of people, I think they like don't want to discuss it, or like it makes them uncomfortable because they feel like there's a wrong thing to say. And like maybe there is, but at the same time, like I think just acknowledging it and calling it out is important. And I think that's why Black Panther has been, you know, so integral to things. I know for me, seeing, you know, being a lighter skinned Black woman and seeing these darker skinned women portrayed as these like heroes and warriors and like, you know, like people that, you know, are bowed down to and revered by others, by their men, women who are respected, women who are intelligent and brilliant, and like none of them even come close to my shade. Like, that's so satisfying, like seeing women that like look like my mom. So, you know, I know someone brought up like The Wiz in the chat earlier. Like The Wiz for me was my first taste of Black fantasy. And like, if you compare The Wizard of Oz and The Wiz, like there really isn't a huge difference other than the fact that there's like tons of soul, and that really could be attributed to Quincy Jones because he's a genius, and like not necessarily because Diana Ross is in it because she's kind of just whatever as an actress. But like it's joyful and it's upbeat and it's exciting and it's colorful and like, you know, it's playful. And I think that that's something that, you know, should be explored. You know what I mean? I think that having a diverse cast, like, it's just more realistic. And when you're talking about fantasy, like you're talking about worlds that are completely made up, you know, like completely new frameworks. They're not supposed to exist in our time and space, you know? So why can't the hero be Black? Like, why can't the hero be, you know, an Asian woman? Like, why do you need the same white dude saving people over again? Like, I don't know.
I agree. It's just like when the argument happens, when you're saying like, okay, we'll then make new characters and stuff like that. They do. They make new characters all the time. Like they had a Muslim Miss Marvel who had a new power set, was interesting, but for some reason they just don't sell books like the old names do. And so when people try to be like, all right, well, there's a new Iron Man. It's not a man. It's a girl. It's a Black girl. I haven't heard anything about Riri since the debut. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
and I think that they're like, oh, why are they doing it so much? Why is it like all of a sudden so much? And I think it's just because they're playing catch up because they haven't evolved as much as they should, and they're realizing that that is a mistake and that they need to catch up with the times. And people like, if you don't like it, I'm sorry, but it means a whole lot to people who feel like they're being underrepresented, and everybody should have a chance to see themselves in these books and on screen. And I think it's awesome what's been happening recently. I don't know why people are so offended just by including, not everyone that's white, And are you excited about A Wrinkle in Time?
I'm like crazy excited about A Wrinkle in Time, especially because I super hated that book growing up. I had to read it twice for class, and it was garbage both times. I was very, like, I don't know, underwhelmed by it. But like the little girl that stars in it kind of looks like me, which is creepy. And like I hate looking at her sometimes, but I also kind of love looking at her because she's really cute. But if it makes me feel weird because she kind of like looks like me a little bit. I don't know, it's weird. But like I'm super excited to see it. I love how many brown women are in it. I love that there's a biracial child that's the main character. I think that kids need to see kids that look like them, and I think that's important. I also think that like the whole idea that like, certain comics aren't selling. Like I think that certain comics don't sell because people are set in their ways. And I think that the people that are out there buying comics, I think people like us, are in the minority. I think fanboys buy the comics, and fanboys like seeing a certain story told a certain way, and they're kind of staunch about it, and that's fine. Like they're allowed that, and these companies or these publishers still make the original recipe for them because like they know that that's where the money is going to go. But like I think Black Panther is a testament to trying something new, seeing what the people want. Because, at the end of the day, like how many Black Panther books have been sold, per capita in general? Like how many people can actually say they've been reading Black Panther since like OG times? You know what I mean? I don't think tons.
No, I agree with you, but the newest book is sold off the shelves.
That's
Nobody
because Roxane Gay and Ta-Nehisi Coates wrote it. So
yes.
You're tapping into a whole other audience of people. And this is what I'm saying about being intelligent about the way that you're presenting, these new characters. Because like even Eric Michael Dyson is a really popular African-American author, and he did the original Black Panther revival back in the late 90s, early 2000s, where he marries Storm, which I was very against because Storm is clearly Wolverine's girlfriend for life, but that's fine. So like, I just like, I don't know, like I think that like that there's this cultural shift, and I think that if you started making movies that depicted these characters, that it really would change things. Like, I think that they really missed the boat not hiring Donald Glover to be Miles Morales and exploring that storyline. Like, I think that, they're doing a good job with Homecoming. Like, that was an excellent film. Like, I think they're doing a good job with it in general. But, like, I feel like that story would have been unique and would have been interesting. And I think that, like, even Ms. Marvel, like, I love Brie Larson. Totally thrilled to see Carol Danvers. But, like, if they had put Muslim Captain Marvel, like that would have been like such a revelation. You know what I mean? That would have like really made people question their everyday existence. Like how many white people are going to be like, I can't be racist because I know people from Wakanda. Like so many people are going to say dumb shit like that now because they actually have to think about it. They're being challenged to like reconsider and like reconcept how they feel about the world and like what lens they see it through just because of one movie. It's really shaking things up. So I feel like, more of that can't hurt.
Yeah, and this movie's absolutely going to change the game. They've already made over $500 million, and it's one of the most successful Marvel movies of all time. It made the most in its first week out of any Marvel movie. It's breaking records left and right, and I think that that's a huge indicator that they're definitely like on the right track with what they did with Black Panther, and that we should have more movies like this, and it shouldn't be like a huge thing every time, because this should start to become more common and more like the norm.
And hopefully that means for other minorities too and everything, like maybe we can get some, I don't know, Asian actors in some Asian movies instead of.
Yeah, and I don't want to be misinterpreted there saying that this movie isn't important, because it massively is, and I think that people who are trying to downplay its importance are rude and killjoys and shitty, kind of.
Well, I think that we're kind of like in a place now where like the tides have been turning for quite some time. Whatever you feel about the president, the one thing you can say is that he is incredibly divisive. And I think that like Americans have been having to kind of fight back against, our bad habits and, the micro prejudices that we all have. And, the way that we think about things, like we really have to spend a little bit more time considering things that are important. And I think that, like, I mean, even Ed Skrein, like Ed Skrein is not some like big name blockbuster actor where I'm just like, Ed Skrein in a movie, gotta go see it, guys. Like, no. But the fact that he would turn down a role that was that high profile in a comic book film that has a notoriously good reputation for the first two in the series, doing a reboot and casting him as a Japanese man in the new Hellboy, like him turning that down to me was like explosive. You know what I mean? Like it was explosive. Like who turns down, like especially someone who left Game of Thrones to make a transporter movie that really didn't go anywhere. You've already kind of like made kind of a little bit of a sidestep, in their career. Like double down and say, you know what, like while this could make me more famous than I already am, I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to suggest that you go with an Asian actor because I don't feel comfortable taking a role from somebody who would do it way more justice than I would. Like to me, that's powerful, and we need more people standing up. We need more people pointing the finger like that. We need larger conversations. When I went to go see Black Panther, it was actually everybody from Florida SuperCon, I guess, had bought out the theater. And then so it was like 50% SuperCon people and like 50% Black people. And everybody was kind of intermingling and sitting together. And like the only ridiculous thing that I heard over and over again was the Tolkien white guy joke, which like I heard months ago and you showed it to me. But like, that was really the only negative that I heard in the theater. And that's powerful because those people are then going to go on and tell their friends why Black Panther made a difference to them, even though they're not a person of color. And like, that's something that I think is going to further unite people. You know what I mean? Like, I really look forward to like this new time in pop culture for, equality and, me not having to cringe at every other movie that I see.
Absolutely. And I have seen you cringe many a time over the years.
Oh, yes.
Billy asked us, what is the best film with a Black lead?
So there was a toss up for me. I mean, obviously the list is extremely long. And there are so many more questions that kind of like pour forth from this. But so I heard a bunch of people say Malcolm X tonight, and I agree. I believe that it's actually a debate that I have all the time with people who like talking movies, whether or not Denzel Washington was robbed. Because like people are like, oh, he won for Training Day, a few years later, and it wasn't even that good. Sorry, Cal. But I think that they gave it to him for Training Day because he didn't get it for Malcolm X, and he didn't get it for Malcolm X because he was up against Tom Hanks for Forrest Gump, and that's like the most ridiculous Oscar race like of all time. Like, how do you choose between those two darlings of America? Like, you know what I mean? It was clearly a hard choice, I think, for everybody at the time. But Malcolm X was phenomenal. I remember reading a children's book version of the autobiography as a child to kind of introduce Malcolm X to me. My parents felt it was very important for me to be well educated and well versed on my history. And then watching it later on, it was one of the first R-rated movies that I watched where I didn't read the book first, which was pretty cool. But for me, one that like ekes it out into the top, especially if you want to talk about Spike Lee cinema, is Bamboozled. I don't know if many people have seen it. Again, that was kind of like an indie, like a more indie outing of Spike Lee's, but it's essentially about this television executive who's played by Damon Wayans, and he's sitting in a room full of other white executives, and they're telling him, hey, we need the next big thing for television, but it needs to be Black and it needs to be great. And like, he's faced with this conundrum that many African Americans people face, where like you're chosen to be this like mouthpiece for an entire race of people, an entire continent of people, plus the other continent that those people come from. Like, they're just like, you're Black, things about Blackness, you go and be Black. And you're kind of just like, okay, well, I'm kind of being Black right now. Is this good? They're like, no, way blacker than that. Like, you're definitely not the kind of Black we're looking for. Like, it's happened to me, it's happening to me presently, and it's garbage. But it's kind of like a difficult reality. And so basically he decides that he's gonna troll these advertising executives basically, and he he decides to make like a super Black show, but it's really racist and offensive. And it's like about these two Black guys that are in blackface. It's like Black people in blackface and the set is like a porch and like a watermelon farm. Like it's really, really racist. Like the main characters are named Sleep and Eat. One of them is Savion Glover. He's a phenomenal Tony Award winning tap dancer. You guys might know him from Sesame Street. But yeah, and then Tommy Davidson is Sleep. So there are these two characters, and it begins as like a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing, but very much like what happened with like the Chappelle Show or with Chris Tucker's career. It kind of turns into this question of like, when does it cross the line and stop being funny because your audience doesn't understand the point? Like it begins as this show that's supposed to be like a reflection of America and a reflection of how people's expectations. And it kind of like winds down into like this show that white people watch on Friday nights with their family, and they're all laughing at it, and it's hilarious, and they really have to like dial it up and like really, you know, play up like the neck snapping and the finger waving and like the gum popping and like all that stuff. And like it takes this like really interesting psychological and cerebral turn where it kind of examines how not only the two main characters feel, because they went from being like poor to being stars overnight basically, but also the way that the exec feels as like a privileged black man. Because like privilege is not something that only white people have. Like, you know, people who are educated have privilege, people who are wealthy have privilege, like, you know, people who are lighter skinned versus darker skinned have privilege. So it kind of examines like what it's like for all of these people in different circumstances to be dealing with this kind of racism. And I remember being a kid and like, it was extremely heavy for me when I saw it, but like, it was so eye-opening because I now had words for like what I experience on a daily basis, that like passive aggressiveness that you like can't get around, you know, to the point where someone's saying something to you and you don't even have the language to defend yourself, because you don't want to be like the angry black person at work, and you don't want to like people to think that you're being too serious or, you know, whatever. Like it's a very, very fine line, and like straddling it is like next to impossible. So like that movie to me is just transcendent, you know. One of Mos Def's first roles as an actor. I think the Roots also guest star in it. So very much ahead of its time as far as like, you know, predicting who was going to be hot in the future. Like really, really excellent film that's really not talked about enough in my opinion.
And it sounds like predicting, like I've seen what you're talking about like happen, because I love movies like Tropic Thunder, for instance, which has stuff that's offensive in it, but it's purposefully offensive because it's making a statement about viewers like, of movies and executives and way stuff is handled in Hollywood. And unfortunately, like people watch that movie and they miss the message too. And it becomes similar to what you're talking about here, where they're laughing, but they're laughing at the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where it's like meant to be like anti-racist, where it's like you're using it to prove a point, but then it just like I fully support subverting the trope, you know what I mean? But when people grasp onto new tropes or don't get why, I don't know.
Yeah, it's basically it comes down to like, you should be laughing at how Hollywood, the statement they're making about whitewashing by putting Robert Downey Jr. in blackface and saying like, this is the type of thing they actually do, you know, instead of just laughing at Robert Downey Jr. in blackface. That's not the joke, you know?
Absolutely. And that's something that like, you know, seeing that movie kind of, I think gave me like, to me, that movie is like woke before woke was woke, because like, you know, it really gave me, you know, like a leg to stand on, you know, for my future. Like there were so many things in that movie that happened that, you know, I didn't have words for. Like I remember watching the first season of Chappelle Show and the first episode of Boondocks, both of those shows when they came out. Chappelle Show, they both came out when I was in college. I remember being in the student union watching with a bunch of people, mostly white people. I think there was like one Asian guy, my friend Dan, who's Korean, that were watching it all together. And like, I'll never forget, like, you know, that one sketch that Dave Chappelle has with like the racist that's blind. He drops N-bombs everywhere. That character and like, you know, a couple other characters that like really like go in on the N-word. And like, I get it. It's like, it was funny. Like, you know, I chuckled, but when I saw how hard everybody else around me was laughing and at all of the jokes that they were laughing at and the reasons they were laughing, like there were some jokes that they like didn't get and didn't like take time to try to think about or think through. They kind of just laughed at everything face value, which like I understand, like, you know, you're young, you're a kid, you don't know, whatever. But I remember like it was so heavy at the end of the episode. Wyclef Jean is the musical guest, and he sings a song about being the first black president and how he would be elected on a Friday, sworn in on Saturday, and then buried on Sunday. You know what I mean? Like how he, you know, how it would take like a weekend for him to be shot. And like, obviously we've had a black president and that thankfully did not happen because he's one of the best people in the world. But like, you know, I think that it like chilled me to my core hearing those lyrics. Like they were really serious and really heavy. And when I watched the episode, it kind of like tied the whole episode together for me. But like people switched it off. They were like, this is boring, click. Like they didn't even think about it. They didn't take the whole episode as one piece. They took it as, well, this is the part that I'm supposed to laugh at, and then the serious shit, who wants that? You know what I mean? Kind of like how people were saying the Grammys were so political, and, you know, why did we have to have all these politics thrown in? It's just music. And I'm like, music is inherently political. Like, you can't separate them. You know what I mean? You can't have one without the other. Like, Waylon Jennings was political, just not about the same shit that Kendrick Lamar is political about. Like,
you can walk into a pizza shop and the guy can tell you who he voted for, and you're not going to be like, well, don't make my pizza political. People are people. They're going to have views on everything, and they're going to use whatever stance or whatever platform they can to get that message across. Like, I just don't get why people have such a problem with it.
That was the last question tonight, but because it's kind of on topic with what you were talking about, you did submit a question about offensive portrayals of tropey characters. I was curious what you had in mind when you were, who you had in mind when you were submitting that.
So, like, sometimes, I mean, we got into this a little bit in the chat earlier. Sometimes it can be challenging to watch movies where white people are ultimately the heroes, and there's like a component where like they save black people. Now, obviously, slavery would not have been toppled without the assistance of white abolitionists. Like, obviously, the civil rights movement required people like Bernie Sanders, like people that were forward thinking, you know, people like Howard Zinn to labor on behalf of the the disenfranchised and, you know, the underrecognized. But like, some movies just go like a little too far. So like, for example, the white savior, it kind of ranges from, like, there are different archetypes, especially like if you study like Black feminist theory or just African-American film history or television history. There are some tropes and some archetypes that exist. Like, for example, Hattie McDaniel, to go back to her, while yes, she was one of the first African-Americans to be nominated, and I believe win an Academy Award, her portrayal of, I can't remember her name because I've only seen it once. It was very offensive to me. Like, her character was she was a mammy, like, for lack of a better word. She's an Aunt Jemima. She takes care of the chillins, like that kind of thing, you know? I mean, granted, that movie came out in the 30s. It is what it is, but like, that's kind of like how she was meant to be received. And if you fast forward, you've got a movie like The Help, which I still haven't seen because I'm pretty sure it's going to make me really angry. But if you're interested in like an exactly how I feel, it would make me feel, if you look up Roxane Gay's review of The Help, it's like right on point. Like, it's hilarious, first of all. And she talks about how angry it made her and how she like couldn't be around people for 3 days. It was pretty funny. But like that kind of like, you know, like, oh, my husband is black and therefore he beats me, or my husband is black and therefore he doesn't have a job, or my husband is black and he doesn't take care of his kids, or like, you have the magical Negro like Bagger Vance, or, you know, most of Morgan Freeman's characters, unfortunately, who like help the white hero, you know, come to this great realization, or like even Jennifer Hudson in Sex and the City. Like, there didn't need to be a black person in Sex and the City. She's like half sassy black friend, half magical Negro. Like, it's weird. Like, you know, so then when you get into like the white savior complex, you have a movie like Last of the Mohicans or Last Samurai or Avatar.
The first like white dude to try. Like,
yes, and it's the first time, right on the button. No additional do-overs needed.
Again, I don't want to go into spoilers, but like, I know exactly what you're talking about, and it's always a concern for me going into movies because like, I don't want to hear about it. Like, I just want good storytelling. Yeah. And Martin Freeman was amazing in Black Panther, as well as everyone in the cast. And there was a moment where I was like, don't do it. Where, you know what I mean? Because like up until like you're like halfway through the third act, you can really screw the pooch here. But no, they did great.
That's part of the reason I feel like that, like, people talking shit about that movie not being that big of a deal. I'm like, you are not paying attention. Like, everything about that film. One of my key takeaways was the way that they treated characters that were not black, right? So like you have a movie, you're a white person, you're making a movie, and maybe you're not that woke and you don't know what's going on. So like you have like a Hispanic thug, and you have a black robber, or maybe a detective of some kind or whatever, who's like the backup to like the main character, right? And like you have this kind of formulaic story that everybody kind of expects and whatever. The way that they treat minority characters, like they're usually, like some kind of like punchline, or like they're responsible for like all of the humor and the white guy's just the straight guy, or like, it has to, like their dialogue has to be like a certain way. I don't know. It feels very claustrophobic, and like, it's not like, they're not like this fully fleshed out character, but like you get this like 360-degree understanding of who Martin Freeman is as a character. Like they don't try to like save on time because he's the white guy, and like who really cares about his character? He's going to die in the first third of the movie anyway. Like that's not the reality. And I love how like,
which is
how they treat people of all races in that film. Like, yes, it's a predominantly black cast, but that doesn't mean that you have to, disenfranchise other actors in it to make it work.
Yeah, and I think that what you're saying is even more real when you compare his performance and like how he's treated in Civil War.
Yes.
Granted, there's a lot of people in that, but I think there's more people in Black Panther than there was in Civil War, and that was a big cast.
Yeah.
And he totally took, like, he was just shelved, like, I'm just here, like, and like you're saying, he's well rounded. Like, despite the fact he is a side character, he's still given a lot, as well as everyone.
I also love just the way that the female characters were handled in general in Black Panther. You have 4 lead female characters, and they are all so completely different from one another.
Yes.
And it's like they're not just there to like talk about their boyfriend or whatever. It's a beautiful thing. Like, people should just take an example of how to deal with female characters as well in that movie.
Between Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor Ragnarok, and this, like, they've definitely upped the game with the badass females.
Yeah, but this one the most, I think, out of
for
any
sure.
of them.
But I'm just saying,
my
like,
favorite is how Okoye doesn't have to like sacrifice her sexuality and her femininity to be the toughest woman out there. Like, there's no conflict whatsoever between those two sides of who she is. And I think traditionally African-American women definitely have a conflict. Like, you're either, the super hot sex pot Halle Berry, or you're like the mammy-ish, I take care of, everybody and everybody takes care of me, like Octavia Spencer, like, or you're like the jive talking gum snapping Taraji Henson. Like, there are all of these archetypes that like these women are kind of like shoehorned into, and like, yeah, there are moments where they can break out of them and be, different and be interesting and, be free of that. But like, they're very much kind of like shoehorned in. And, Danai Gurira on The Walking Dead, like, honestly, that show is like going down in a giant bag of fucking hot garbage flames, but in my personal opinion, but like, I kept watching it even after like the sell-by date, because like, she is such a marvel. Like, she's wonderful, pun intended. Like, she's beautiful to look at. Her intensity is wonderful. Like, I don't think that she's the same Michonne that I know from the comics, but that show, I think, veers in many different directions off book. So I didn't really mind that so much, but like, she's got this like power that's just like, it just radiates out of her, whether she's kicking ass or simply just standing there looking at you. She serves so much face in Black Panther. Like, it blows my mind. Like, every scene she's in, like, I can't take my eyes off of her. Like, I
thought she was the sexiest one.
Yes.
She was by far the sexiest one to me, because she was just like, first of all, I love women with shaved heads in general. That shit's really sexy to me, and you look like a badass, and just like the balls to be a woman and cut all your hair off. Like, I've done it. It's magical. Every woman should shave their hair off at some point. But that's a whole nother conversation. But she was just like, just the way that she was and how powerful and tough and like kick ass, just like, she was killing me with how sexy she was, and it didn't take away from how powerful she was for even 1 second. Like, I would say that the love interest character Nakia, by the beautiful Lupita Nyong'o, is supposed to be the sexy character, and no doubt she is, but to me, just like Okoye, the way that she is makes her 100 times sexier to me than like any woman I've seen in a film in the last 10 years.
But I don't even think it's just like their fighting ability. It's like, they're not afraid. Well, they're not like, she's talking. That character, I'm gonna screw it up, is talking to T'Challa, right?
Mm-hmm.
and she's not in any way like. Not only is he a man, he's the king and the spiritual totem of their society. She's like, no, I'm gonna do my own thing. Like it's just their like
complete
ability.
autonomy.
What's that?
Complete autonomy. Like she's bound to him in the same way that like if you're watching King Arthur, you're gonna watch fucking Lancelot get in Arthur's face and be like, you're fucking up, man. Like you're gonna see that, and there's nothing wrong with that. You wouldn't question it. But like especially with like how people kind of have misunderstood, I think, African culture in general, especially because colonization made a lot of by colonization I mean like the slave trade. Made a lot of African nations that were once patriarchal because they kind of brought their Western ideals over to these people and kind of wrecked shop on their civilizations that were way older than the civilizations that they come from. I mean, like the story of Wakanda, like I think a lot of people, like I've heard this around my office even, where people are like, oh, you have to suspend reality because like, in what universe is there like a rich African country? And it's like, yeah, but if you rewind to like the late 1600s and you look at the beginning of colonization, when you realize that like people that were then that were later considered Anglo-Saxon or English people were like literally like throwing their poop and like scratching their armpits at a time when like some of these African nations had like full-fledged like technology and like ways to write and ways to produce art and like all of these markers of like great rich civilizations. Like when you consider that, you know what I mean, like you really have to wonder like how we ended up upside down, which like I think is what makes Killmonger for me. Like knowing what I know about Black history and being, someone who considers themselves a scholar on the subject, like that's really where that movie got me. It like got me like right in my fucking guts because like, the fact that like, Killmonger's dad makes it through the LA riots, which is like 92 watts in Oakland, California, right? That whole area. Like Rodney King gets pulled out of his truck and beaten almost to death by police officers. Like thinking that that's like the environment that this kid is in, that his dad is in, and he's seeing this kind of sadness and this depravity and this desperation from African American people and depravity from like the white people that are kind of controlling, the narrative of their environment, and then like only to then get killed, by someone who is your family. You know what I mean? Like, you can't argue with him. Like you can't argue with where he's at. He's wrong in the way he's going about it. But he couldn't be more right in like the way that he is speaking. You know what I mean? And I love that, like, obviously I don't want to give any spoilers or whatever, but I love like the weight of that argument and how T'Challa and like the rest of the people of Wakanda kind of have to, try to understand. You know what I mean? It's not something that I think they thought about. Like they weren't thinking about that kind of thing. So, I don't know, like I just
I completely agree. Like it's just like Ethiopians defeated Napoleon with sticks and rocks. Like their military, and then I'm gonna screw up his name, but who's the other general who's famous? I wanted you to do a tattoo of him.
Oh, you're talking about Shaka Zulu?
Yeah, like their military was ridiculous.
Yes.
You think about the Egyptians and what they were able to accomplish thousands and thousands of years ago, and then it's not just Africa. Like we get all of our numbers from Muslims. We get all like, and their libraries were burned to the ground during the Crusades. Like the wealth of knowledge that has been lost. So like you were saying, like
lost
it's not
stolen.
It's not like removing like your expectations of reality. You know what I mean? It's like wishing that reality actually turned out good. Like this is a world without war. Essentially, they've never been touched by war.
Yes.
And that argument is just
even like the decorum that they have, the grace that they have, like African American people and African people in general, African cultures in general, are often seen as being like more feral and kind of like wild and like foreign and alien and other and like not like us. You know what I mean? It's this very like separate kind of feeling when you're watching like a movie that's designed for white people, kind of like American Gods. Like you're watching some of the portrayals of immigration or immigrants were good, and some of the like the storylines with people of color were were good, but like I kind of felt like, I mean, we've discussed it, but like Mr. Nancy, like it's almost embarrassing. I mean, even the new Solo trailer, I'm like, why are you showing me Donald Glover in a pimp suit. Like, you're already kind of getting off on the wrong foot here, and I hope you guys.
The man who wore a cape. Lando Calrissian wears the cape. Why?
Absolutely, but what I'm saying is, like, if you look at Black Panther, right, and you see like the evolution of his style and like the evolution of his suit and stuff. So I would imagine that young Billy D. Williams wouldn't immediately start with the cape. Like, you got to start somewhere. Half cape, trench coat, something. You got to start somewhere before you get to cape status. Like, even Batman actually cape right out of the gate. I mean, I'm just saying.
He's the only part we're interested in the whole. But I understand what you're saying.
It's so sad.
Rogue too.
But yeah, obviously Black Panther is like a revelation, and like what it says about Black femininity in general is just a marvel. Like, again, I don't want to spoil it, but like the scene with Daniel Kaluuya and his battle rhino toward the end there. That's all I'll say about that. I think you know what I'm talking about. I was watching that and I was like, this man is about to make a terrible decision. Like, he is about to make the entirely wrong decision. He is faced with two choices and he is going to fuck this up. And then he didn't fuck it up. And I was like, good job, buddy. Good one for you. So glad for you that you chose right. But like seeing that and the symbolism around it was very powerful, very, very powerful to think that like, that these women are so revered. Like, Shuri is this beautiful scientist, and even though like the other tribes don't necessarily agree with T'Challa's, appointing of his sister to this, tech genius, like they're still respectful about it. There's no like warring in the street. There's no like spy that tries to infiltrate this other tribe and like internal Black struggle and conflict. Like, they work their shit out. You know what I mean? Like, they come to the challenge, they challenge, and then they work their shit out. Like, there's no extra shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, there's no like hard feelings, and that's
it's definitely better that the conflict came from the outside, because it definitely like it speaks better for that nation. You know what I mean?
I do hate to cut this conversation off because it's great and I could literally talk to Candace all day about anything. But Raul has come in and we are 15 minutes over basically. So I love you, Candace, and I'm so glad that you made it for this episode. Do you want to let everyone know where they can find you?
Yes, you can find me at that Candace Girl on Twitter. And at some point, there should be a Buffy show and apparently also a cartoon roundtable. So hopefully you guys will see my face again soon.
And hopefully maybe a Black Panther review. Nudge,
oh my God, yes, Black Panther review.
I think everybody here would love to hear your thoughts even more in depth than, with spoilers allowed and everything. So
I'm into it.
Awesome. Well, we adore you, and we hope you get to see you again soon.
I love you guys too, and I will certainly be back in action soon.
All right. Bye, beautiful.
Love you. Bye.
She's amazing. She's the best person in the world. Raul,
are you planning on calling in, buddy? He said to keep Candace talking.
We do have to end the show at some point.
We need nuggets.
I am starving, yes.
Our nugget meter is here.
Well, why don't you just send him an invite real quick and see if he wants to. He usually keeps it pretty quick. But yeah, I hope she does a Black Panther review because I would love to hear spoilers allowed talk.
Yeah, I actually want to at some point talk about my theory for Black Panther 2. I think I know what's going to happen. And it involves a certain white dude with wings on his feet.
White dude with wings on his feet?
Yeah. He's some sort of mariner of the sea. Do I need to say Namor?
Oh my gosh.
Hey, buddy.
Guys.
How's it going?
How are you today?
Not much. Just wrapping up the show. Kimber's putting on her boots, so I guess I better do this quickly.
No, it's okay.
She's nugget
And
crazy.
also, like, I really didn't like to interrupt Candace because she was talking like she had like a lot of great points about history and Black performance. I was like, I don't want to interrupt this. So like,
Yeah, I could have listened for another 2 hours. All right, so let's try to get through these questions quick, buddy. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So first question is from Janine the Machine, who I know you just did a reaction video recently to her fight on.
Yeah. And also I saw it live, so I double dip on the reaction.
You double dipped.
Yeah.
That's funny. All right. She asks, what performance by a black actor did you find groundbreaking?
That's a hard one, especially because what Candice, all of the things that she said about how roles are so different, and also how roles are also are very like cliche for a lot of black actors. Um, I wanted to say, I even though like I know that a lot of people, especially like Candice said, like they can see the help in a different way, especially in the way that it's portrayed. But I will never forget seeing Viola Davis in The Help. For me, it's a performance that's always has stayed with me, especially how seeing her reacting to the world and like she wants to get better and she wants to stand up for herself for all of those people that mistreat her. And also, I will give another performance. Monique and the girl from Precious in Precious. Those both performances are really memorable.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen The Help, but I've heard the same, that they're all great actors.
And also, I will give also quickly in TV, even though like even Candice said it, but I really like Taraji P. Henson as Cookie. I know that she's loud and she's funny and sexy, but I really like her character, and she can also be different at the same time. And also Viola Davis and How to Get Away with Murder, she's great.
Yeah, that she is very. She commands the room in that show. All right, number 2. Nolan asks, what is the best movie by a black actor? Or I'm sorry, by a black director.
That's a thing that I was thinking throughout the whole thing right now. And the only one that I remember, like one of my favorite ones, is a comedy. It's a movie called Undercover Brother. It's directed by Malcolm D. Lee with Eddie Griffin and Chris Kattan, like Neil Patrick Harris. There's a lot of people in that film. I really like it. It's one of my favorite movies since like 18 years ago when I saw it in the theaters. It's a tradition in my family. We see it every year. It's really funny, especially seeing it like seeing all of that cast, and the only white actor that is important in throughout that whole movie is Neil Patrick Harris. I was like, "Oh, you're not obsessed." The also that
I love.
Dave Chappelle as that's the conspiracy brother. Like, there's a lot of memorable scenes that I will never forget about that movie.
I love the hot sauce watch.
Yes, the hot sauce and the mayonnaise.
Yeah, they're gonna want you to eat mayo. So here's some hot sauce, and then the door code was a handshake. That was great. Yeah, I remember that movie. I remember watching it when it first came out. But that I think that was like a lot of the SNL writers were behind that too at the time. Okay, Delisha asked, which genre would you like to see more black roles?
I would like to see spies, more black spies, and more black roles in sci-fi, like lead roles. Like I just imagine Idris Elba as Bond or Idris Elba as Doctor Who, especially because I'm getting into Doctor Who right now. I'm in season 2, and I just imagine Idris Elba as Doctor Who. That will be entertaining.
I mean, I'm not against Black Doctor at all, but we just got a female one. Let's hold on to that for a second, and then regenerate.
And also,
I don't want one episode.
I want to be the Mexican doctor. I'm
The
already
Mexican
auditioning
doctor.
for in like 2 seasons.
All right. Oh, but I loved your spy answer. There's a bit the casino scene in Black Panther felt like a spy movie.
Yes,
I love that.
that's one of my favorite scenes in Black Panther is the casino scene.
Yeah, it's really good. Okay, last question for the night. Billy asked, "What is the best film with a black lead?"
That is a hard one, but I would say a recent one. I really like Denzel Washington and Viola Davis in Fences.
Okay, I haven't.
Also recently, even I know that Denzel is a very cliche answer, but Denzel is very memorable, and like also a lot of people didn't saw Roman J. Israel, and he was a really good performance in that movie. Also,
Yeah, that's on my list. I unfortunately don't get to see movies until they're out for about 3 years. So once that comes up, I'll be able to watch. All right. Well, those are all four questions. I know I looked at your channel. You guys are always putting out content. You want to tell people how to get there and how to follow you?
yeah, the YouTube channel is called Renton Entertainment. We always do the Monday show on Mondays talking about movies. We talk about today about Annihilation, and I got really depressed about the Netflix kind of like buying movies because Paramount doesn't believe in it. And like I made a scenario like really quick. I was like, I imagine one of my passion projects will be when I get to be a filmmaker. I want to do a remake of In the Matter of Madness, but with a fanboy kind of like angle, and also mix it with a lot of screen comedy, like to be like really meta at the same time, but also be horrifying, and also honoring H.P. Lovecraft, because In the Matter of Madness was also honoring H.P. Lovecraft. And I imagine myself making that movie very beautiful, and then they say, no, we don't believe in your movie. That's not gonna make money, and we're gonna sell it to Netflix. And I was like, I will really feel really disappointed. I will feel angry, especially because all of the hard work, and me and Trevor were discussing, especially that viewpoint, how he sees that scenario, how I see it.
Yeah, I can see that being frustrating, but at the same time, you want to see your movie to at least be seen. So where do you draw the line? You should definitely check out Raul's channel if you want to hear that conversation. Raul, thank you as always. You're one of our patron producers since the beginning, and we love you, buddy.
True story.
Yeah, and also sorry for getting to that late.
Oh, he froze.
And also, I know that you're good. You're gonna sleep or maybe gonna work. So sorry.
Hey.
Okay. Bye, guys.
There it is. All right. Well, that's it. We made it.
Time to eat nuggets. So we basically told you guys what we have coming up for the channel in the coming week. You can always find us on Twitter. I'm at Kimberbatch_OSP.
And I'm at Odd Shaped Panel.
And that's it.
That's it. Have a great night. We'll be back in 2 weeks here. Have an OSP and chill Q&A. So send us those questions. It could be, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite food?
Nuggets right now.
Should I invest in Bed Bath & Beyond? Who knows? We're watching Broad City. Anyway, thanks, guys. Hopefully, those of you who sent me your PSNs, I'll add you tonight, and we'll get something going. I'm really excited to not have to screenshot video games in order to play them for you guys. So thanks again to Malcolm for that. And yeah, thank you, everybody. You're doing good. We'll see you soon. One day, I'm going to get a pony. His name will be Winchester.